But anyways, let's continue. So we didn't actually do anything. The stream seemed to crash right at the start, so we're all right. This is the home planet where we're making all the science. We've now shifted this big contraption into actually making white science instead of actually doing the research. So we're combining that with the antimatter from the other planet, except we don't have any antimatter yet. We're making it on the other planet, but it's just going to take a while to get here. We have demanded it, but it's going to take a while. So let's actually go back to that planet and have a look, because I want to proliferate. I want to proliferate the rockets so we can launch them faster. So yeah, let's just head on over there. Yeah. Oh. Let's see how the sphere has grown while I've been away for a very short time. So, what I'm actually thinking of doing today is, once we've got the rockets proliferated and we're scaling up our antimatter production, I'm thinking of just doing a tour of the galaxy just to have a look at all the different planet types. Because I haven't really done that yet, and I might actually just make a YouTube video out of that rather than uploading a VOD. Because we're pretty close to actually being finished. And I'm not sure whether we're actually going to need a whole stream left to finish this objective, but let's just go check out the Dyson Sphere, see where it's at. Let's actually set this as the target. There we go. 30 seconds away. Yeah, it looks like the stream output is back to normal. That's good. For some reason, it never decides to crash when I'm doing the intro. It's only immediately after I've done the intro, which is very convenient. Right, we're here. Let's actually go have a look at the Dyson Sphere first. Let's just go say hi to the star. Can we see it from space? We can see it from space. Yeah, here we are. Oop, we went right past it. Uh-oh. No, take me back. Right, okay. So apparently you do just walk through a star. But wow, look at that. That's looking pretty complete, isn't it? I mean, it's not 100% finished yet, but it's getting pretty close. Looks very pretty. Right, let me turn off the. Oh, we're so close. I can't actually see the icon for turning this off. Right, there we go. The Dyson Sphere. You can see where we're launching all the rockets from over here. You can actually see when they're fired out and the clusters of the rockets arriving. Yeah, it's looking pretty big now. So let's actually decrease our speed a little bit. Now this thing is rotating fast. So we're going about 200 meters per second and we're just about keeping up with the frame now. Yeah, looks pretty good. Like these little beams that are going on here. Now this is the smallest Dyson Sphere we could make around a main sequence star. So it's not huge. We may make a bigger one. Once this is finished, we may make a bigger one just to grab even more energy. Don't ask me how that works. It just does. Yeah, these nodes are pretty big as well. I can just get a little bit closer to it. Yeah, now you can see. It's clipping through it a little bit. So what you're not seeing at the moment is the shell, because the shell requires the solar sails. And those, there's an achievement in the game for researching mission complete without building any solar sails, or without launching them into the sphere. So we're going to get the achievement just off of the frame alone, but the frame generates a pretty good amount of stuff. Like, if we have a look at it here, so you can see at the moment we're generating 750 megawatts of power from this, and we're converting all of this power directly into critical photons rather than harvesting it at the planet for power. You can see we're about sort of 60% done with the construction plan at the moment. I've left this middle bit open for now just so that the star's light can still reach the planet when it's finished. But that would depend on us filling these panels in anyways. We'll wait for this to finish and then we'll maybe add some more nodes. But yeah, there's the sphere. I like it a lot. You see all the rockets coming in. Right, let's actually go back to the planet now. Because I want to proliferate these rockets. Yeah, we set up our production line so that we're launching 1 rocket a second on average. You can see the iron ore we're actually importing from the volcanic planet as well. And then the microcrystalline components from the Pandora planet. We're actually importing and exporting a fair bit of stuff. Now, I don't want to hang around too much on this planet because we've been having some lag issues. But let's definitely get these proliferated. Because, to be honest, the coal we've got here, yes, it's going down. I don't think we're going to reach... I don't think we're going to run out of coal before we finish with this save, to be honest. There's literally a million of it there. So where are the actual rockets going? Here's the rockets. So we could literally just take this belt and put it here. So let's do that. I think that'll do. Then let's just bring it around here. Is that going to go in there? It is, but then that's going to collide with the actual silo. The hitbox on the silo is really weird. So I guess we don't want that. I'll have to shovel this stuff somewhere. Where is the actual conveyor? Where does it begin? It begins here. Right, that's where we want it to go. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you can see the distortion coming off the silos as they launch each time. It's actually quite disorientating working in this area, but we'll be okay. Right, so I can go here, go here, go here. These rockets here, I'm literally just going to take them off the belt, and we're going to reinsert them so that we can proliferate them, and then we'll see what happens. Because I haven't tested this. Yeah, you can stop launching for now. But yeah, I think we've been pretty successful with Dyson Sphere Program week. We got a lot done Monday, Tuesday. Wednesday, I had a load of admin stuff to do. And today I've been sort of seeing the partner and going and doing stuff with her. So that's been really nice. But I did have time for a regular stream today. But the game feels very slightly less angry today, but we'll see how that goes. Right, rockets are coming from over here. Yeah, this is the end of the production line. How about I make a little storage here, and I just feed them on from here. So put these in here, and then just feed them out quickly. So now those should all get proliferated as well. And then I've got a load of proliferator in my inventory I don't need anymore, but that's fine. So now we're sending the triple proliferated rockets over to the launch silos. So let's see what's actually happening. So the item proliferator can only speed up. So what's going on with this? Oh, it's increasing the launching speed. It's not increasing the actual amount of rockets. Okay, that makes sense. So that wasn't really necessary to do. Then this one over here, let's check this one. Yeah, I guess it's going to have one level of proliferator for a while. I mean, I guess this will get us through that stockpile a bit sooner, but I think what we may need to do is actually proliferate all 3 of these. And then we can actually make more rockets. So that's why I actually set up all these conveyors right next to each other, instinctually. I'm totally going to give myself credit for that. So that should actually be simple enough. Because then what I can do is... just... this is going to look very messy again. That's fine. Yeah, it's okay. So then that can come over here. And I think we'll just literally send it through here. No. Send it this way. I really like the music you get once you unlock the Dyson Sphere. I think it's very nice music. And obviously this game, the intention for this game is once you research mission complete, it's basically just like, congratulations, you've done the tutorial. I'll go play the real game. But we might leave some more of that until a future run where the combat is added to the game, because I'm sure that's going to add a lot of value to the game. Yeah, we'll just bring it directly over this. It's fine. Is that the right level? I think it is. Yeah, okay. So now we're proliferating all of the rocket ingredients, which means that we're making 25% more rockets, or 22.5? Yeah, it should be 25% more rockets once that gets through. So that's good. Yeah, so now I'm making 75 rockets per minute, so that should be a little bit faster. And then let's go check out the antimatter. Is there anything more I can do to proliferate the antimatter? The game's actually doing pretty well at the moment, all things considered. Right, here's our lovely ray receivers. So these are currently producing... wow, they're producing a lot of stuff. Proliferating the graviton lenses was really important. So then we've got the critical photons. This is still full of non-proliferated graviton lenses. So let's actually take those out. Where am I putting those? Oh, just in my inventory. Okay, that's fine. I'm just chucking them on the ground.
Hello there.
Hey there, Far. How you doing? We are pretty close to actually winning this game. Yeah. We just take all of these out. I think it's just because it's burning through one last non-triple proliferated graviton lens. Oh yeah, the critical photon percentage is increasing a lot. This has gone down because this is just drawing more power. We're requesting more power than the Dyson Sphere is actually capable of generating at the moment. There's an N. Well, no, there isn't really an N. There is a technology where if you research it... hold on. Yeah. There's a technology where if you research it, you get the mission completed screen. And you get all of your achievements for beating the game. But you can keep playing as long as you want. And to be honest, this is basically the end of the beginning of the game, once you've actually unlocked everything. We still just need to make our sphere bigger. That's the constraint at the moment. So let's see. So these critical photons are being triple proliferated. And then they're going in here. Production speed up. Oh, I don't think we're able to set this to extra products. So maybe the proliferator isn't helping that. I just double check that. So if I look at a... game's not showing me a critical photon. It's... let's see, antimatter? Is that on here anywhere? I mean, obviously it won't be in the replicator. Yeah, so proliferating the critical photons only speeds up the production. So this isn't running constantly. Then that's producing... it's producing the antimatter, and we're proliferating the antimatter for use in the research. That's going over here. We haven't quite built up one shipment yet, but we only actually need to send 4 complete shipments of this to win the game. So we're going to get that pretty quickly without doing anything else. And I don't think there is anything else to do now. We just need to keep launching more rockets, which we're doing. The sphere continues to grow. These things need to harvest more and more power. I guess we can actually plan out some more nodes. I think that may be what we just do for now. Let's actually plan out some more of those. Let's see. Now, the reason I held off on this is because I wasn't sure where to put them. But I think this is fairly reasonable. I'm pretty good at guessing the middle anyways. Actually, we're gonna keep running the game while we're doing this. Because I will openly admit part of what we need to do today is just run out the clock. There is just a certain amount of waiting involved. But I like this editor a lot. And I think they've added a lot of nice quality of life features since the game came out. So we want 13.43 degrees generally for these nodes. That's fine. And then once we've researched mission complete, we can start doing more stuff like adding the solar sails for to fill in the panels. Oh, whoops, that's not right. There we go. But yeah, honestly, I feel like if we build the sphere and we get mission complete researched, that's a pretty good time to end the playthrough for now. Because we're obviously going to come back to this game, but we're going to come back to it when the combat system is added. And it may be a case where we can just reload this save and continue from there and explore all the new content. But we'll have to see what the patch notes are. Yeah, then we can just do it like this, snaking a lot around here. Hello? Yeah, it's rotating super quickly because it's so close to the star. Like, we could keep going with this run for ages as we are at the moment, but I feel like there's more. There will definitely be more to explore with this game, so I don't want to feel like 100% done with it now. I want to save that for when the full release comes out, to fully explore everything. But certainly getting some extra achievements I haven't already got is a good goal. Right, so now we can complete these two. So we'll narrow that band a little bit. I'll keep all the framework stuff here. We just won't fill in the inner band for the sails because I want to, when we get mission complete, because I want to make sure that we can still see the star. Now, this is slightly important for the morale of all of our little robots, I imagine. I'd like to imagine that anyways. I'd like to imagine we program all these drones to want to see the sun. Yes, the ray receivers make some very satisfying sounds. There we go. Yeah, if we do actually finish today, I might do something different tomorrow. I might continue Noita tomorrow. But we'll see. Right, what is left? So I think leaving this band here in the middle is what we want. Because then that's enough of a gap to let the sun through. This wasn't actually as hard to navigate as I thought it was. You're playing a little bit of Noita before you sleep? Fair enough. Maybe Noita will wake you up. What did you die to? Lightning spell. Yeah, lightning is super deadly. Like, if you've got explosion immunity, it's alright, because most of the damage comes from the explosion. But without that, it just deletes you. Oh, I see. So you got electrocuted in water. Yeah, that's the thing. It does do a burst of electricity, and then if you get electrocuted in the water, that's rough. Yeah, Noita is quite eager to kill you. But I've got to admit, having played Spelunky, Spelunky seems way more eager to kill you. I bought Spelunky 2 because Nyosa was playing it, and I do want to get into it at some point, but it does just seem very punishing. Right, I think that'll do. So then we can add these. We'll add them like this. I think what we'll do, because we'll probably get mission complete fairly early today. The rest, after that, we'll launch a load of solar sails, and that seems like a good goal. Wait, what am I doing? No, I'm leaving that one free. Yeah, I'm leaving the inner band free. Seems good. Why so random? It's random. I've got pentagons. I've got pentagons at each node point. It's going off a geometric grid where it's sort of pentagonal. Yeah, triangles. Like triangles. Right, so let me just do these ones. I mean, you can give the different panels different textures and different colors. I'm not going to color this in yet. I'm not sure what color I want to make it. But you don't even have to actually conform it to a grid. I've seen people do like really crazy Dyson spheres where it just like makes out like a pattern or some text or something. Like there's no element of you must design this Dyson sphere so it structurally resists all of the stresses. Unfortunately, I think that would be really cool if they added that to the game, but that's only because I'm a civil engineer. Perhaps that would be too complicated for general gameplay. Yeah, you can get really creative with these, but I think that looks good for like the final look. So yeah, now we're about halfway done. So this will generate about 2 gigawatts of power when it's done, which is quite underwhelming, if I'm going to admit that. Because this planet, the planet that we've actually covered like a tidally locked face in solar panels with, is generating 4.5 gigawatts. So this sphere, which is the smallest one we can construct, is only harvesting 2 gigawatts when it's built. That doesn't seem right. I mean, I guess the panels will add a lot of power as well. I think that's partly why the achievement for doing it without sails is relatively hard. Let's see, how's the antimatter going? Yeah, this is going quickly. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think there's anything else for us to do here at the moment. Hey Aaron, how you doing? We have added some more stuff to the sphere. It's about halfway done with the nodes. And we're preparing our first shipment of antimatter. We only need 4,000 of this stuff to win, and we're currently generating... How much are we generating? It's difficult to know what the actual production rate is, but it seems like about 30 a second, which is not super high, admittedly. But we're getting there. We have loads of... Well, I think I told it to stop making the fuel cells because I just want to beat the game. But I think what I'm going to do, while we're waiting for this, I already did a bit of a tour of the Dyson Sphere flying around near it. But here's what the Dyson Sphere looks like in-game. Very cool. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a tour of the galaxy. Now that we've got the proper warping capability, we're going to have a look at all the different types of planets that are in the game, and I'll discuss like sort of the pros and cons. I thought that might be something interesting to do while we're waiting for this to finish. So, yeah, what I'll do is I'm going to open up the wiki, and we'll just go to a different planet of each type. So let's go back to our home star system. Let's go back to our home star system. We'll talk about the Mediterranean planet, and then we'll go find all the other planets. And I might edit this into a YouTube video, like a short YouTube video. Because we've triple proliferated the end products for the rockets. And we could keep proliferating some more stuff, I guess, but I feel like it's going fast enough. Probably take us like about, I don't know, like an hour to do the sort of grand tour, I guess. But I want to go see all the planets, because we haven't ended up actually using that many planets. We probably set up on like, what, 3 in the main system, 3 in the new system, and then a sulfuric acid planet and a water planet. So I think we've only set up on 8 systems total, or 8 planets total. There's loads of different planet types in the game that I want to talk about. And obviously, once we've actually got the mission complete tech, we'll be available to research more techs with the white science. So the question is, what do we prioritize next, considering we're not going to be doing a save forever? Because normally what I would say is we would do all the levels of vein utilization, and then we would end up being able to move back towards the closer systems and maybe build the red giant sphere. Red giants suck for Dyson spheres. You have to make the sphere huge, and the luminosity is not very high. But there is an achievement for it. That's why we've got it highlighted on our map. Yeah, let's be on the home planet when the first shipment arrives. Sounds like fun. We've got enough science stocked up. I don't think anything else actually needs to run anymore for this to work. Right. Ooh. There we go. There's our science. So the antimatter should be coming in here. We'll get a notification when it's ready to ship. Oh, actually. Oh god, I've just realized something. It might not be set to actually send it all this way. Let's just double check that. Let's just check production last 10 hours, entire star cluster. Does it show total production anywhere? That would be interesting if they had like a total production. Oh, yeah, total. Ah, okay, there we go. All right. So we've actually produced this much antimatter. We've consumed this much. So I would think it should be ready to ship if it was going to. I think we may need to go back and configure that. We'll do that in a minute. But anyways, so this is the Mediterranean planet. This is the planet you start on. Let's actually go around to the sunny side. I'll try and go to a relatively untarnished part of the planet, just for the purposes of the video. But yeah, this is where you start. The resource nodes have relatively low quantities. So these veins, like the amount of veins is similar to what you'll find on other planets. But the actual count in the vein reserves, the total amount of resources you can mine, is the lowest out of any planet. So that's not good. In terms of resources you can find to start with, you'll find the coal, which you'll use as your initial fuel, the iron veins, which you'll use to start making stuff with, copper as well. I don't think there's a copper vein nearby here. Let's just check. I think I may have already mined all the copper. Where's the nearest one? Here's a copper vein. We mostly tapped this one. This was a really small one that we actually started next to. When your spaceship lands, like this is actually the landing site for the spaceship. you land next to a couple of very small veins. So you'll mine those initially, and then they'll very quickly run out, and you've got to set up factories elsewhere. So you'll find copper as well. Iron and copper are the two main things you need to get everything started. And then there's stone as well, which you use for foundations, certain buildings. There's no rare resources on this planet at all, so you're not going to get any of the advanced sort of manufacturing recipes. And there are crude oil seeps. You need to harvest these for making bread science. As you can see, the rate on these is really low now, because the seep, A, it starts off low on this Mediterranean planet, and B, as you drain it, the rate halves over time. So if I actually go and have a look at an oil seep like this one, so here you can't quite see it, but it says halve after 10.9 hours of continuous mining. So this is what's happening with that, and you'll see this rate here that will actually drop very slightly as it's mined. Although obviously we're not using it to anywhere near our full capacity at the moment, so this this hasn't moved yet. That's all right. We're not going to watch that until it moves. But yeah, those are all the resources you can find on your Mediterranean planet. You do find all the wood and stuff that you use as your initial fuel. You can make organic crystals with this, but it's very expensive, so I wouldn't recommend it. You might be able to make like a couple for like one research, but you want to make them. You want to make them from the plastic route rather than making them from trees. And then the other feature of the Mediterranean planet is it's covered in quite a lot of ocean. So if you're trying to do a run without foundations like me, you end up running out of space for building a few things. Like if you're trying to make a really large factory, it's going to be restricted by the water. So what you could do is you can make a factory for foundations and then pave over that. Then to get the soil piles for actually covering up the oceans, you've got to level mountains as well. And there's not a huge amount of hills here, so you'll want to go flatten other planets to pave over all the oceans. So yeah. And then other than that, the solar energy ratio is usually somewhere around 100%. This planet's pretty rubbish for that. It's got 92% solar efficiency. The wind ratio is always 100%. So going with wind turbines to start with is very powerful. I just like to do them in a little grid like this. So if I turn on the power overlay, so they're spaced far enough apart from each other, and then if I go here, try and place it on another one, they line up regularly with the grid spaces here, so you can fit your buildings in the middle of them pretty neatly, and then the gaps are so small that they're usually not relevant. So that's what I like to do with the Mediterranean planet. But yeah, the low resource counts, the lack of constructible area, and the lack of rare resources mean eventually you'll want to move out. Now, it should be noted this planet doesn't have any silicon or titanium veins. Those are resources you need for a lot of stuff in the late game, so you will need to grab them from other planet types. And there's lots of different planet types. Your starting system might vary, so I'm not going to say specifically what planets you're going to have here. You'll usually have like one hot one and one cold one, but what they'll be will vary wildly. But they will have silicon and titanium on them. So you'll need to go and harvest them from there as well. Occasionally you can have it so that your planet is always orbiting a gas giant of some kind to start. But very occasionally you can have a system where 2 or even 3 of your planets in the system are actually orbiting the gas giant. I had a really good run where all 3 planets were orbiting the gas giant, and that was very easy to start with. So yeah. But yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go in alphabetical order, to be honest, about all the different planet types you can find. And we've got universe exploration level 4, so it should be somewhat straightforward to find planets of these types. And I'll try and make my way back to Sudira at the same time, but we'll see what we do. So, let's see. Yeah, I'm going to try and go in alphabetical order, but we'll see how successful I am in that. That was the wrong button. There's a wasteful way to get silicon by processing stone. Yeah, you can process a ton of stone into silicon, but that's really not very efficient. Possibly worth doing if you find a planet with just a ridiculous amount of stone on it. I'll talk more about that in a bit. Now, the other thing is you're not actually guaranteed to have every type of planet available in your game, because your cluster will have up to 64 stars in it. Right, this is one. So we're going to go have a look at the Ash and Jellisol. So this one's actually tidally locked, which is somewhat interesting. Yeah, let's go over there. How far away is that? That's 5 light years away. Okay, that's fine. If you play on unlimited resources, it's probably more viable, but it's really slow. Yeah, it would be really slow, and you need a lot of manufacturing capacity to handle that. Like, you need a lot of buildings just to refine all of the stone into silicon. It's just way more efficient to actually find it in the veins. Yeah, welcome to the Grand Tour. So our first stop is an Ash and Jellisol planet. So here we go. Here's what an Ash and Jellisol planet looks like. Pretty blue, pretty thin atmosphere. You land here, you can still see stars during the day, quite a little bit. It is... I mean, this one's tidally locked, which is somewhat interesting. They're not always tidally locked. But the resources you'll find here, you'll find good quantities of silicon and titanium, good quantities of iron, a decent amount of stone, and then relatively a small amount of copper, and then a very small amount of coal. Like, there's only one coal vein on this planet. It's this one here, and it's very small. So, not great for coal. You can find some rare resources here. You can find fire ice here, which you use for making hydrogen and graphene. You can find fractal silicon here, which is useful for making silicon crystals. It's slightly more efficient than the normal silicon. So a nice bonus to have if you're making lots of silicon crystals. Let's go find the fractal silicon vein. Where is that? Here it is. So go this way. Over here. We got the wrong way again. I always go the wrong way. Unbelievable. I have this compass and I still go the wrong way. But yeah, fire ice is a pretty good rare resource for fuel. This planet in particular really lacks energy generation. So the wind percentage is 40%, which is almost the lowest in the game. Your wind turbines can generate 40% of the energy they generate on the Mediterranean planet, which isn't particularly good to start with. So don't bother with wind turbines unless you just want to construct a massive amount of them. If you have like a massive production line and you can just cover the whole planet in wind turbines, you can still do that, but it's going to take up so much space, it's probably not worth doing. And then the solar energy ratio is also really low because it's an outer planet. So yeah, 49%, really bad. You are going to want to send either mine stuff here for energy. Fire ice is pretty good for that. Coal is an energy source, but there's so little coal on these Ash and Jellisol planets that it's not worth doing, because you're going to want that coal for something else, and it's going to run out super quickly. Yeah, we'll get to that in a minute. So to be honest, what you're probably going to do on these Ash and Jellisols is you're probably just going to mine the fire ice and use that for energy, because you'll find big deposits of it here. But you do find a lot of silicon and titanium here, so it's not completely useless. You'll just definitely want to either use thermal energy or to eventually import like nuclear fuel sources, or just grab energy for a Dyson Sphere. You're better off doing that if you're in the late game. But there's definitely more beneficial planets to go and look at in general. But it is quite pretty. You get to see the stars even during the day. This one's orbiting a red star, so even less light than usual. And there are no oceans, so it is 100% buildable. So that's not bad. So yeah, if you can solve the power problem, potentially a pretty good place to set up. But yeah, definitely definitely a drawback that it's one of the only planets that more or less requires you to bring fuel or use chemical fuel. Yeah, not my favorite planet. Looks like the first shipment of antimatter has arrived, so these universe matrices are being made. That's good. Right. Where are we going to go next? Let's go find the next planet alphabetically. Where would that be? In the it would be an inner planet. It is nice that we can just walk around everywhere now. Better off looking around these hottest stars, actually, now that I think about it. Yeah, here we go. Delta Serpentis, let's go. Yeah, I don't think I've actually set up on a Ash and Gelisol planet yet. It's like, probably like my least favorite planet, realistically. So one thing to bear in mind as well is the further you are from your starting star, the more resources overall you'll find on the planets. But this, when I'm talking about the planets here, I'm just talking about the relative ratios of the different resource types you'll find, because that's what's important when you're deciding where to set up, really. So here's our next planet type. This is an arid desert. So it looks quite pretty with the sort of like tan reddish hues. So this planet, we have a look at the resources. So interestingly enough, there's no silicon. There's never any silicon on these planets. So if you're looking for that, go somewhere else. However, the planets make up for it in a pretty good way. So you will find lots of titanium, lots of stone, and lots of copper. And a relatively small amount of iron. And again, you'll probably only find one really small copper vein. Or one really small coal vein. Like this is the coal vein here. So to be honest, I'd probably just use that for proliferator and not anything else. But the construction area is 100%. There's no oceans, obviously. It's an arid desert. Makes sense. The solar energy ratio is usually pretty good because they're usually either right next to the star or they're further out on a really large star, which is what the situation is here. Because this one is going around a B-type star. It's number 3. So you won't find these right in the middle, usually. So the solar can be less than, say, a lava planet. But the wind ratio is always 150%, which is really high. So this is a great planet for setting up loads of wind turbines. You don't have to worry about energy in that respect. Very efficient. If it's tidally locked, you could set up the solar panels with the wind turbines in the middle. And that's a very efficient way of generating energy. Probably still worth having a belt of solar going around the planet because the ratio is usually quite high. But feel free to supplement that with wind power wherever you're going. So overall, a pretty good candidate for setting up a massive factory because you'll have lots of energy and you'll have lots of space to build on without worrying about foundations. So these are some of my favorite planets to set up on. But just bear in mind, you will have to get your silicon from someone else. Yeah, that was fairly straightforward. You can also find kimberlite ore here occasionally. This planet doesn't have it as a rare resource. But kimberlite ore is used for making diamonds, and it's a bit more efficient at it than making coal, than making them with coal. So if you find it, that will let you make diamonds on here, even though you don't normally have a lot of coal. That's worth thinking about. But it won't be like a massive vein. So yeah, where are we going to go to next? Next, we're going to go to the one that you're talking about. the one with zero atmosphere whatsoever. Yeah, let's see if we can find it. I looked at all of these stars a while ago, but obviously I didn't remember what was on them. Here we go. How close is that? Is that anywhere near us? Oof, 30 light years away. Can I not find one closer? I really did pick the really far out ones, didn't I? I think I've already looked here. What about Blue Giant? No, it won't be around a Blue Giant, will it? Blue Giants are quite good for Dyson Spheres. Right, here we go. Here's a nearer one. Let's go there. Yeah, that one's only 9 away. God, those blue stars are just huge. We'll have to go to the red giant as well, just so we can show it to you. Man, it's already getting dark here so much quicker, like in real life, than it used to. August, September really is that month where the day length starts to just change significantly between days. I feel like you can pretty much notice it on a daily basis. In the UK, you get quite variable days. Not as bad as some other parts of the world, but compared to America, the day length is certainly more variable, just because we're higher up. Right, here we are. Jews are 3. And these new warpers are making it, or these new fuel cells are making it a lot easier to do this. Okay, so here's our next planet on the tour. So this is the barren desert, and you might notice it looks suspiciously like the moon. That's because it basically is the moon. So we'll land here, and you'll probably immediately notice there's no atmosphere. You can just see the stars, like, at all times, which is pretty cool. I don't tend to set up on these planets, but they are very cool. Yeah, first things to notice. So yeah, no atmosphere means no wind energy at all. So don't bother setting up wind turbines here. There is actually an achievement. Let me just check. There is actually an achievement for setting up a wind turbine on a barren desert. Because it's so silly. The game has a few silly achievements like that, yeah. Forgot about that. Build wind turbines on a planet with no atmosphere. Yeah, definitely do that once and then never again. But yeah, in terms of what resources the planet has, it has a ton of stone. If you want stone, these are a pretty good planet to find it on. Where you actually find them relative to the star varies a lot. So some of them will be closer to the star, and they'll have higher solar energy. This is probably about as high as you'll get it. They don't tend to form really close to stars. Then you seem to get the lava planets instead of these. But solar energy can be okay. You can find some really cold ones that don't have a lot of solar energy. But if it's there, it's useful. Otherwise, you're going to be relying on chemical fuel, which again is going to be complicated because these planets don't have any coal. There's no coal here whatsoever. So if you're not using solar on this planet, you will need to import fuel, be it chemical or nuclear or whatever. But there's a ton of stone. There's a decent amount of titanium, and then there's a few deposits of the other resources as well. So there's a little bit of everything, but mostly stone. So if you want to make a large amount of glass, that's for, or a large amount of bricks, buildings, this is where you do it. Fairly one note, you can actually find rare resources here as well. You can find fire ice here, you can find kimberlite ore, you can find optical grading crystal, but you'll find them in relatively small quantities, and it's not guaranteed, but it is possible. And again, there's no oceans of any kind, believe it or not, and there is 100% construction area. So if you could solve the energy problem, pretty good for setting up a big factory on that's not obstructed. And because you're not building wind turbines everywhere, you'll probably just have a big solar band or something, and you'll have more space to use here than anywhere else. So pretty interesting planet. I haven't actually done that much stuff here yet, but that's mostly because I've never needed that much stone. I'm wondering what the main sort of uses would be, because it really does seem mostly like construction rather than science. I guess you'd need it for the titanium glass to make plane filters and quantum chips for the purple science. Yeah. Interesting planet, but probably not super high up on my list. Ooh, this is an interesting one next. Yeah, let's go see the star. Where's the star? There's a star. It's a pretty interesting view. Nice blue star. Wow, I'll tell you what, we're actually churning through this white science. It's going up pretty quickly. Good. Let's see if we can complete this tour before we complete the game. So next up is the Crystal Desert. Where are we gonna find that? I think there was one actually nearby. I think there was one over here. No. Here we go. That'll do. This one's a satellite, but that's fine. Oh? Oh, right, we need to get into space. No, that's not... There we go. Warpers do I have left? I have one. Now I have more. I don't know why I've got 1,000 warpers on my inventory. I don't think we're going to need quite that many. I've run out of squash already. I guess I'm going to start on the Coke. Like Coke, I mean Coca-Cola. If we get any funny ideas. Actually, we're going to be there in like 15 seconds. I'll have the Coke in a minute. So I believe we want planet number 6. Yeah, it's orbiting the gas giant, that's fine. Alrighty, so our next... Whoa, let's try and get a better shot. So our next planet that we're looking at is the Crystal Desert. So this is another desert planet. The sand is a lot darker on this planet. I think it looks really cool. And it's got these occasional sort of light bands across it. There's just little deposits of iron just in these bands that you can just mine up, like rocks and other planets. So that's pretty cool. I didn't really think about that before. Obviously, it doesn't matter too much, but you'll often find big clusters of actual rocks on this planet, and they're super efficient to mine quickly for like a little bit of stone ore if you need it. But you're probably not going to come here to mine stuff manually, so I'm not going to dwell on that. But anyways. The Crystal Desert planet. It's pretty interesting. So, first things first. Construction area, 99%. There are some unbuildable areas, but they're not big. Just areas where it's a bit too steep, I think. Like sinkholes, I think. But the wind energy ratio is 150%. So again, that's really high. And because it's a desert, you'll tend to find it sort of close to stars. So the solar energy ratio is usually pretty good as well. But the main draw of the Crystal Desert planet is that you'll find a large guaranteed deposit of optical grating crystal, and you can use that to make a few things. You can use that to make photon combiners a bit more cost effectively than making them out of prisms and glass, etc. But the other use of the optical grating crystal is, I think they're used for a few buildings as well. Oh, the Casimir crystals. Yes. So you can use them instead of titanium crystals to make Casimir crystals, and you do need 8. You do need 8 per Casimir crystal. So what I would say is, I would go with making the titanium crystals with the organic crystal veins over the optical grating crystal, unless you have 8 times or more as much optical grating crystal as organic crystal. And sometimes that could be the case. It should also be noted, you can actually find organic crystal here as well, in a relatively small quantity. But that's potentially interesting, because it's a non-habitable planet that has organic crystals. So, worth thinking about if you can't immediately find an oil planet. It's not a huge deposit, but it might be enough to get you a decent amount of science to start. And then the other resources you can find here, so you can find a large amount of iron, a small amount of titanium, and then even small amounts of coal and copper. But you won't find any silicon or stone here. I mean, there is lots of stone just to mine up, but no veins of stone. So that's something to think about. Yeah, good for iron, good for optical grating crystals. And the energy ratio is good as well. So you can make a big factory here that relies on those things. And the titanium deposits are decent as well. But yeah, you definitely won't find this in your starting system because it has the guaranteed rare resources. None of the planets in your starting system will have the rare resources available. Apart from maybe fire ice. I think you can find fire ice in your starting system. Okay, what's our next planet? I mean, we're not going to find it here because this star is too hot. Let's go back here maybe. No. Ah, here it is. Okay, we'll go back to the Juicer system then. It's fine. This seems like a pretty good chance we can actually shut my blind. We'll always have either fire ice or deuterium available on the gas ice giant over orbits. The tech to get it is pretty deep. Yeah, like I usually find like the fire ice, if I have a fire ice vein available on my starting system, that's like sort of the go-to rather than the orbital mining. But yeah, you're not guaranteed to have a fire ice vein. Yeah, to be honest, I just like flying around and looking at all the different planets. I find that very entertaining in this game. Probably more entertaining than I should. But there's a lot of variety in this game, and I really appreciate it. So, here we go. So here's the next planet. So this is the frozen tundra planet. This is fairly recently added. This is one of my favorite cold planets. So we'll land here and we'll have a look at it. There's a pretty good atmosphere, and you got this sort of nice black and white texture going on. You've got these mountains that you can flatten for soil piles pretty easily. But in terms of the resources, so you're guaranteed to find fire ice and kimberlite ore on these planets, first of all. The quantities aren't huge, but it's guaranteed, so really nice to find. You can occasionally find optical grating crystals on these planets. But it's not guaranteed. Then the actual ratio, the wind energy ratio is 130%, which is really high compared to a lot of cold planets. So you can build wind turbines here and not worry about chemical fuel, although you even have that if you want it. The solar energy ratio is obviously not great because it's a cold planet, but you won't need it because you'll just have wind turbine energy. And then in terms of the actual resource deposits, you'll find good amounts of iron and titanium, and then a little bit of everything else, and again, you'll just find one really small coal vein. Let's find the coal vein again. Where is that? Yeah, it's just right here, but not a big one. Yeah, let's go have a look at one of the kimberlite veins. Yeah, you collect so many soil piles here, it's great. Yeah, here's a kimberlite vein. Very pretty looking. Lots of triangles. So I think this is how much research we got out of one shipment of antimatter. So that's like 1,500. So clearly the proliferator is doing pretty well on that front. Yeah, these are my favorite cold planets. I think you can start with these in your starting system, in which case you'll find some kimberlite ore right away as well, which is really good. Pretty high tier, I think. I think what I might do is I might upload this as a mod, and then I might make a tier list of the actual planets, and I'll add in snippets where I'm just showing off the planets. Maybe. I've been hand mining the rare resources when I come across them for the achievement. I've already got that achievement. I did that on a non-streamed playthrough, but I did that a while ago. But yeah, they're pretty cool. And again, there's no oceans here, so plenty of construction area. And oh my god, look! I actually set up on this planet a while ago. Wow. No, I never streamed that. That was when I played this game before I started streaming. I played this game a lot off stream. This is my first streamed run. So, we found a relic of the past. I came here randomly one day and I never removed this. You know, I think this might actually be the first planet I landed on outside of my home system, maybe? Yeah, look, because it's quite nearby. Yeah, I reckon this is probably the first one. Okay. Cool. Right, so next up, what do we have? Is that in this system? Can I find it? No. Must have needed to recharge. Indeed. Definitely. That was a weird system. That was one planet and it was a habitable planet. I'll talk more about that later. Where did I find this one? Over here. I'll tell you what, we're not actually having any game lag out here, so I think the part that's actually causing my computer to lag out is just watching all the factory stuff. Ah, here we go. That's a planet. Yeah, we can get there. Yeah, that's not too bad. Right, let's go. Let's fit in a quick sip. Coca-Cola. Yeah, we're quite close to the red giant. I'll go there and have a look in a minute. I'm always in awe when I get to like the red giant and the blue giant systems, how big the stars actually look. Something about just a big ominous sphere in the sky that really gets me. Alright, here we are. Alright, so our next planet is another desert planet. It's the Gobi Desert. So it's got this sort of, again, sort of tan look. It's more yellowy, browny than red compared to the arid desert. So notable things here. There's big mountains, so you can flatten these for lots of soil piles, first of all. That's really good. In terms of the wind energy ratio, it's not good. It's 80%. You could use it in a pinch. It's not awful, but if you're going to be putting wind turbines down, you're going to use up more area than usual. So bear that in mind when you're building your factories. Solar energy ratio is usually quite good, because you usually find them a bit further in than the other deserts. So that's not bad. Construction area is almost 100%. The only areas are just like some deep sinkholes that you'll need to fill in. But that's fine. There's no oceans here, believe it or not. But what you will find here are large amounts of copper, silicon, and stone. You won't find any titanium on these planets. So actually, to be honest, like, What's the planet where you don't find any silicon? Yeah, so arid deserts, you don't find any silicon. Gobi deserts, you don't find any titanium. But between the two, you have a pretty good amount of the resources. There's relatively little iron here either. So bear that in mind if you're trying to make like a load of processors here, because all the silicon and copper. You'll probably want to import some iron. But yeah, it's not bad. I don't think it's as good as the other desert planets. Energy ratio is a bit low. But if you need these 3 resources, it's a pretty good source of all 3 of them. I don't think there's really that much more to talk about with that. So then we've got a relatively new one. I'm sure we'll find this somewhere. We've been finding a lot of these. And obviously that's where we've set up our main base as well. We could go back there. Nah, we'll find one nearby, I think. It would be helpful if I actually remembered where any of these were. I think I've already looked at this one. Yeah. I think I've been here. We were finding loads of them earlier. I think there's one here again. No, I guess not. Ah, here we go. How far is that? It's not too far. Let's go have a look. But yeah, I mean, obviously, this is one of my favorite planets because we actually set up our base on one of these planets. And that was partly because it was tidally locked, I'll admit. A little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. These are pretty good ones to set up on anyways, even if they're not tidally locked. Already, we're looking for the 3rd planet. So here is a hurricane stone planet. Hurricane stone forest. Bit of a complicated name. Actually want to get up in space again and have a have a better look. Yeah, here we go. Yeah, so this is a hurricane stone forest planet. It's another desert planet, and you'll notice it has these sort of weird white and dark gray bands across it, but it's generally a very reddish color. There's a green atmosphere. Kind of unusual. And then you'll land and you'll see it's sort of salty and has all these jagged stones on it. So the main thing about this planet is the wind energy ratio is super high. It's 160%. It's the highest wind ratio in the game. So wind turbines are really good here. The solar energy ratio will vary a lot because you can find them both near the star and really far from it. In this case, it's on the edge of a red dwarf system, so the solar energy is actually super low. But you can find them really near the star as well. So yeah, that's pretty good. Construction area is 100% again. You are guaranteed... Well, actually, you're not guaranteed to find any rare resources here. The ones you're likely to find are fractal, silicon, kimberlite ore, and optical grading crystal. But what you will find is you'll find large amounts of copper and titanium, a little bit of silicon, a little bit of iron and stone, and then, again, one lonely coal vein. So quite similar to the other desert planets, but the higher wind ratio makes it really useful. And I mean, in our current run, we've obviously done really well because we found a tidally locked one near a big star. So we got a load of energy from that. So that was really good. Yeah, probably one of my favorite planets to set up. But we've seen this enough, so there's not really that much more to talk about here. The next one we'll probably find fairly quickly, I imagine. Oh, there's actually one here on the inside of the star system. That's kind of weird. Yeah, let's just go there. Am I actually going to warp here? I'm going to warp there because I'm super lazy. I'm super lazy and we brought like hundreds of warpers with us. So whatever. Alright, so our next planet is the ice field Jellicol. So this planet was one of the first icy planets they had in the game, and they've since added a lot of extra like aesthetic features to them, so they look a bit different now. But yes, this planet has sort of icy lakes on it, but it does also actually have very small pockets of water that you can go look at. So in this case, this planet just has sort of one lake. I think there's a few more lakes down here. But this is actual water that you can harvest, and you can use that for making your titanium glass and other things that require water. So it is a water source, even though it's a cold planet. The wind energy ratio is 70%, so that's not great. It's not terrible, but again, your wind turbines will take up more space than usual, so worth considering. The solar energy ratio is usually pretty bad because it's a cold planet, so I wouldn't rely on that either. Chemical resources can be a good shout. You are guaranteed to find fire ice on these planets, so harvesting that for energy is recommended. Again, there's one small coal vein on this planet. Here's the coal vein here. So this is not worth using for energy. Use it for proliferator instead, or something else. Use the fire ice for energy, or bring nuclear energy here, or whatever you want to do. And then in terms of resources, you'll find a lot of titanium, a large amount of iron and silicon, relatively small amounts of copper, a little bit of stone as well. So you'll find everything here, but mostly titanium and mostly iron. So not the worst icy planet in the game. There are better ones, but the guaranteed fire ice vein is really nice. And again, it's a source of water, unlike a lot of them. So that's also something to consider. Because you only need like one decently sized lake like this, and you put water pumps around it, get your veins utilization up, and that's enough water for most of what you need to do in the game. So you don't really want massive oceans of water, because you never need that much. You just need like a little bit that you can fit your water pumps around. So with that, the next planet to look at, I'm sure you'll recognize. Here we go. These next planets are very common. Looks like we're generating the white science again. That's nice. I'll make sure to go back before we're finished. But I think we've got one more shipment after this. Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll go back to the main system when we actually unlock mission complete. And then we'll see what the sphere is looking like. Alrighty, so our next planet is the ever popular lava planet. So there's lava here. There's oceans full of lava. You can't build on these. Believe it or not. You can cover them up with foundations, but something to note is you can use geothermal power plants to get power from the lava. And obviously the area for the lava isn't huge. You're not going to find like massive oceans of it. You're usually going to find rivers and sparse lakes of it. But yeah, you can make a geothermal power plant and plop it in here. The more lava it's surrounded by, the more efficiently it will run. But to be honest, you're never really lacking energy on these planets. They're usually fairly near their stars, so they'll usually have a pretty good solar energy ratio. So they're strong candidates for making a solar belt around, and you'll often find tidally locked ones as well. Or, well, not often, but about as often as you'd find tidally locked planets elsewhere. The wind energy ratio is 70%, so it's not great, not terrible. You can use it to start off with as a little bit of a baseline before you get your solar belt established, but I would rely on solar for these planets usually. And then, in terms of the common resources, you tend to find a lot of iron, a lot of copper, and a lot of titanium, and then smaller quantities of silicon and stone, and then again, one small coal vein. You're noticing a trend here with all these hot and cold planets, is they tend not to have very big coal veins. So yeah, here's our coal vein on this planet, very small. Overall, the construction area is typically around 85%. This one's 87%. So you've got a good amount of space to work with, but there are obstacles that will interrupt your factories if you're doing a foundationless playthrough. So bear that in mind. And then in terms of the rare resources you can find here, again, it's fractal silicon, kimberlite ore, and optical grading crystal. So the usual ones we sort of find on these sort of deserty planets. Righty, okay. We're actually going to go to an organic planet next, so that's nice. Now, which system was it that had the nice ones in? Was it this one? No. There was one nearby that had some good ones. Ah, that's where a water world is, right? I'll need to remember that one. Oh, we're over here. Nah, not this one. Was it this one? I don't think it was. You don't tend to find habitable planets around the blue stars. Usually the main sequence stars have them. The red stars are often a bit too cold, but they can occasionally have them. The redstone planet. Here we go. Right, let's go to the oceanic jungle. There we go. So we should start. We'll start going through all the habitable planets, and they're probably a bit more interesting though. Very satisfying watching the white sides count down. It's a bit of a shame there isn't really much to do other than let the sphere build itself. We'll come back and we'll get a better look at it when once some more time has passed. So we want the second planet. Is this one. This is probably one of my favorite planets, just in terms of how it looks. The organic planets are really nice in general. Beyond. So here is the oceanic jungle planet. So this is a very pretty planet. One of the first alternative organic planets to the Mediterranean planet where you start off on. So this planet is really good for oil. It's really good for oil. Obviously, there's these big water oceans as well. Very relaxing vibe. Lots of nice trees. Lots of water plants. Very pretty. But yeah, so the main selling point of this planet is you'll find lots of oil here, and the amount of oil you'll find here will be way higher than your Mediterranean planets. And again, the further, like the one that you start on, and the further you are out from your starting Mediterranean planet, the more oil you'll have access to. Now, you don't actually need oil for a huge amount of things, because crude oil gives you two things: refined oil and hydrogen, mostly. And hydrogen you can eventually get from gas giants way easier than with oil. But you do need refined oil for a few things. You need it for organic crystal production. But guess what? These planets also have massive amounts of organic crystals often. So I don't think they're guaranteed, but you'll generally find organic crystals here. It's very likely. So you can mine those, super easy to produce yellow science with them. But yeah, the refined oil is used for two things. Yellow science, which you can do with the organic crystals, because you often need refined oil to make the organic crystals, but you can just mine them out of the ground and you're fine. And then plastic for purple science is the other thing. So what you'll want to do is you'll want to mine all the oil out of here, maybe refine it on this planet, and then send the refined oil or the plastic to wherever you're making all your purple science. Now, it should be said, the planet is half covered in water usually, so you'll need a fair few foundations to build like a massive production line here. But there's enough space to get it workable. It's very similar to the Mediterranean planet in terms of how the land and the water is allocated. So it is possible. If you're doing a foundationless run, I would probably just mine the resources up and refine them somewhere else. Yeah, you'll find good amounts of crude oil. Other rare resources you can find here include spiniform stalagmite crystals occasionally. Those are used for making nanotubes, and they're very good for that. You can find kimberlite ore here as well for diamonds. And then in terms of the base resources you find here, you find a ton of coal here. So if you want to use coal for making diamonds, you can do that. If you need it for graphite, you can do that. You can refine the graphite into graphene with the sulfuric acid, but I mean, there are better sources of graphene. I would just use fire ice for graphene. Then you'll have so much graphene you don't know what to do with. If you don't have access to fire ice for some reason, that's something you can do. Not quite as bad as building full ocean planets. Yeah, definitely not. There's huge amounts of coal here. There's pretty good amounts of silicon as well, the regular stuff. So that can be handy. And then in terms of other resources, there's a little bit of stone and a little bit of iron. There's one very small copper vein. Let's see where the copper vein is on this planet. But yeah, generally not a lot of copper. Like, I don't know even what you'd use a small amount of copper for. Like, look, there's literally, like, let's go and look at this. There's literally a single vein on this planet. Let's go find the lone copper vein. Where is that? Yeah, here it is. Yeah, behold, our one copper vein. This is all we get. This is all the copper we get on this planet. And then there's also no titanium whatsoever. So come here for your organic resources, believe it or not. But the silicon is also decent. So not bad for making purple science, but you'll want to import the copper for making all the processes. And again, as I said, I'll probably just take the organic resources and put them somewhere else. So the next one, I think we're actually going to go back to the home system for this. Because I couldn't find one anywhere else. Not that one. This one. The Pandora Swamp planet, where we're actually set up. I don't think there is another one in this galaxy, because we looked specifically for it a while ago. Which will tell you about how much I actually like these planets. Yeah, let's go over here. We might actually get the mission complete as well. So we might just hang around until that's done and then continue continue the grand tour after that. Yeah, this seems like a good time for a fish update. How the fishies doing? Fish. Yeah, they're doing alright. Where's Whiskers? I think Whiskers is having a nap. I can't see Whiskers. You guys are doing alright there. Then how's the frogs? I don't think... Oh, there, you might be able to see. Oh, I'm covering it. Yeah, there's the frog. There's a frog. They've been behaving recently, which is good. Wow, this... I forget how far away the system actually is. Well, we can go watch the last antimatter shipment leave. Man, I'll tell you what, maybe the first step we get is increased warping speed. So we can finish this tour a bit faster. I don't know. We can pretty much just do whatever we want now. It's nice. Also a little bit intimidating, because it's like... once you've actually done it, it's just like... once you've actually done everything, it's just like, now what? Just make it bigger. Which I would love to do, but I'm not sure the computer will handle it very well. There's a mod that adds a button that generates an Excel spreadsheet when pressed, listing every planet and star system in a cluster. Wow. Okay, I've got to get that mod. You've got to send me that mod. Put that on the Discord. Right, so we want Sidera 4. So, yeah. Let's do this summary quickly. So this is the Pandora Swamp planet. So this is a little bit different from the other organic planets, in that there's no water, there's no oceans. There's 100% buildable area, which is very rare for these organic planets. So it's got this sort of nice purple vibe on it as well. Dyson Sphere is looking pretty majestic in the background. I love seeing all the logistics vessels around everywhere as well. But yeah, in terms of the resources you have here, so the oil production rate is good. It's just the same as the oceanic jungle. Obviously, the further out you are from your Mediterranean planet, the higher this rate will be. You're guaranteed to find crude oil. You're guaranteed to find organic crystal here, unlike the oceanic jungle planet, where it's just very likely. You're guaranteed to find it here. You can also find fractal silicon here as well, occasionally. And you can very occasionally find spiniform stalagmite crystal. But the main resources that you find here are coal, again, in large quantities, silicon, the iron ore, and the stone in lesser quantities. But you also find a decent amount of copper and titanium here. So there's no actual resource that is lacking on the Pandora Swamp. You'll find a little bit of everything here. And if you find one of these really far out from your Mediterranean asteroid, it's actually quite a good candidate for setting up like a brand new base on. Because there's no annoying oceans to get in the way of your building. Yes, you'll have to import water from somewhere else, but you can find other water planets. The wind energy ratio is 100%, just like your home system. So you can just do wind turbines on your grid like I've done here. The solar energy ratio will be fairly middling. We wouldn't bother, to be honest. You'll have enough energy from either the wind or just the copious amounts of coal oil you have. Although, I wouldn't burn oil for energy. I mean, you can, but I don't like the half-life of the oil. I don't like the rate decreasing just because I'm mining it for energy. Do you ever mine oil for energy? I feel like I'd just rather do that with the coal. But yeah, I like these planets a lot, but you do just need to go find the water somewhere else, which is fairly unusual for these organic planets. Yeah, I like it. Let's go have a look around at Dyson Sphere again. I think we're nearly done. How's everything going over here? Everything looks fine over here. Titanium, got some silicon. Got all of our microcrystalline components. All of our Casimir crystal things appear to be going. These don't have any fuel, so we're using all of this graphene. Well, I don't think we're using all of it. But we're using enough of it that I don't feel guilty for burning it. This is very slowly filling up with excess hydrogen. So that's a good sign that we didn't overproduce the hydrogen. Because this is where most of our hydrogen is coming from. And this game is so satisfying. Yeah, let's go have a hover around the Dyson Sphere. I'm just gonna warp right now. Actually, am I gonna warp next to it? Nah, we're just gonna approach it slowly. You usually only load that mod once on game, generate my spreadsheet and then unload mod. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thanks for all of the hard work finding these mods, by the way. I really appreciate it. I'll definitely use that for the next playthrough. And I might even use that to determine a good seed for starting the next playthrough. Yeah, here we are. The Dyson Sphere. I think it's very pretty. And obviously we haven't got any panels yet. We'll fill those in next. What I might do actually, while we're here, is I might set up just a quick solar sail farm, and then we'll start launching those once we've got mission complete. Yeah, I really like the sound of that mod, because that's actually what I quite like to do, is I quite like to just make an inventory of like the whole system before I start playing. Like what I'll do is I'll have like a sandbox save, and I'll just go around and catalog everything. I do quite actually enjoy just cataloging everything though, but having a mod would definitely make it faster. Right, so the solar sails. So we're making solar sails here for the actual rockets that we're launching. Now where are those? Yeah, they're here. So how about I be super lazy and I just proliferate this. So I'll just put a spray coater here. And then we'll just get 25% extra solar sails. Yeah, because we've already got the proliferator over here. I can just lead it up through here pretty easily. You know, if I'm actually allowed to walk through. And then we can send it over here. Oh, this is why I like proliferator, because I can just kind of retroactively add it and just get a few extra or something. It's pretty quick. What's this? Oh, okay, that's kind of weird. Yeah, that's fine. So now we'll get some extra solar sails out of that. Let's see. Can we proliferate these for extra products? We can. Okay, that's good. So now we'll have some extra solar sails coming out of here, which means I can just send these down here. Send these up here, maybe. Where am I going to launch them from? Obviously that side isn't facing the star. Do I want to just launch them from this side? I might just launch them from that side. I guess it doesn't really matter if it's the pole. How eccentric is our... Yeah, so this planet has no obliquity. So we could probably just launch them from here, right? Let's check this. I think I made a production line for railguns. Maybe I didn't. You know, I don't think we did. No, why would I have made a production line for railguns? Let's just make some of those quickly. So, need steel, gears, processors, supermagnetic rings. I should be able to nick these from storages here somewhere. Right, that'll do. So steel is over here. Need processors as well. And then the last thing is gears. Where's the gears? Oh, are there any gears in here? I bet there are. Yeah, here's some gears. Right, let's make, I don't know, so these eject 20 per minute. We're not going to have a huge amount of solar sails going. Let's make like 10 of them. And then we'll see where we can put these. Because obviously I'm not going to launch any until we got the achievement. No tall buildings in the muzzle rotation area. Fair enough. Use orbit. Ah, right. So we would need to actually go into the sphere editor, and then the orbit here. Can I actually edit this one? I wish it would let you edit orbit 1. Yeah, because I just want this to be like a small orbit. I guess let's make it a polar orbit. Will those be able to see destination from dark side planets that actually line of sight, unlike rockets? Unlike rockets. Yeah, this is what I want to have a look at. So obviously we're not going to launch anything yet. And if I select orbit number 2, lack of solar sail, target pitch angle. Right, so it seems like I don't want to try loading this until it's ready. Let's go place one on this side as well, and then see what the difference is. Yeah, so that's got... Oh, that hasn't got any power. Hold on. There we go. Right, so that's saying it's fine. So that's... Okay. So that's aiming at the star, because the star is there. That makes sense. Okay, so yeah, this one can't actually aim, because it's not there. Okay. So that answers that question. So... we probably could just send them from here. It's pretty direct, isn't it? Where would I put those? I don't know, let's just put them... There's actually some space here. That'd be easier. Because I don't think you can aim straight up either. Let's try this. Just enjoying fiddling around with this at the moment, actually. So that looks too high. I feel like that's going to struggle. Let's just put them here by the ray receivers. We're not going to need too many of these. At least not for what we're doing at the moment. Because we haven't got enough excess sales production. Yeah, that'll do. And then just stick a... There's a tower here. Tower here. Set this to orbit 2. Seems like a pretty good angle to shoot from. Yeah. We can put those there, and then let's just have a logistics here. I'll need to set up an extra logistics thing. So I can fill up receive solar sails. Then we're not going to belt it yet, obviously. Where's our excess sales production? I'll be over here. Somewhere. Over here. Yeah, so that's backed up now. So then that can come down here. And then I can just have a storage bin here. This could fill up as much as it wants. I don't really care about that. And then stick some power here. Okay. And then logistics to that. Distribute to other distributors. That's fine. And then let's go check out the last shipment of antimatter. Yeah, so that's just left. Where's that guy? Can we see it? Yeah, there it is. No, it's coming in. Wait. Ah, right. I need to set this one. Yeah, set that one to infinite. Because what's happened is we've got a logistics vessel coming from the other planet empty to pick it up. Because we had this one set to 5 light years range. This one shouldn't have been set to 5 light years range. So we'll see the ship land in a minute. Is that it? Yeah, here it is. So here's the empty ship from the home planet, and that's going to take the last shipment of antimatter out of here. Yeah, there we go. And I think it's already zipped off. Yeah, there we go. Alright, neat. Let's follow it home and let's watch the end. Wait, is that our... Is that... What is that? Oh, that is actually the Pandora Swamp planet. Wow, that's really close to us. It's actually kind of wild how close that is. I like it. Right, let's go follow this thing back to our home system. I'll watch the last lot of... last shipment of antimatter. Now, I don't think we're gonna beat the I don't think we're gonna beat the logistics vessel. Ah, there we go. Maybe we will. We're going quite a bit faster. Yeah, there it is. Look, we're gonna catch up. Are we gonna beat it there? Ah, this is greatly amusing. Just hope I don't press the wrong key and just end up going the wrong way. Yeah, there it is. We're gonna see it pass. We'll continue the grand tour once we've done this tech, and once we've set up the solar sails. What's the blockage on white science? Antimatter need to build up. Yeah, exactly. The Dyson Sphere needs to get bigger, so that we can generate more antimatter. That's the constraint at the moment. So there really isn't much more I can do other than wait. I mean, we could set up more production lines, but I don't think it would make much of a difference at this point. We've proliferated everything that's important. Also, I wasn't paying attention. Did we pass the logistics thing? Nah, here it is. No, we're just about to pass it. Will we see it zip past? Probably not. We're probably going a bit... Oh, there it was. I think that was it. Yeah, we just zipped right past it. Nice. You snooze, you lose. You could eventually make logistics vessels so unbelievably fast. You can actually make their sublight speed faster than your warp speed. Oh yeah, you're totally right. We actually made a production line for foundations on this planet. I think we set it to fill up a load of storages. Let's actually check that while we're here. I did plan a little bit in advance for when we actually did the achievement, but I don't think we... Yeah, okay, we didn't exactly store a huge amount. We stored like, I don't know, 60,000? That's not enough to cover a planet. That's pretty weak. But yeah, we're here. There it is. That was the last... That was the... No, that wasn't the antimatter shipment. Ignore me. Where is it? Here it is. It's here. How's that going? Yep, that's just going straight into the research. All right, it's white science time. I'll make that white science. And then that goes through the proliferator here. And then that's all our white science. And then that all goes in this big machine. It isn't actually that big. 300 hashes per second. Not bad. So for some reason when I saw this initially, I thought you had to combine all 6 sciences to do the research. But no, you don't need to. You just need the white science. Because otherwise you'd have to produce twice as much of these 5 sciences as you would think. That'd be a bit annoying. Oh, you know what I should have done? I should have made this like a staircase so I can climb to the top. It's too late. Can't do it anymore. So it says it's going to be done. Well, this isn't accurate. This will change to like. I imagine this will end up being like 4 minutes. We're just gonna wait and watch it get done. I'm sure a lot of the veins on this planet ran out ages ago. What's our power consumption here? Yeah, it's not very high, realistically. We made a massive stockpile of all these sciences. The only one that we're not fully stocked up on is green science. Actually, red science as well. That's because the production line somewhere for that broke down. But we've got enough of it that it's not going to matter. Funny thing is, I probably could start building a Dyson Sphere here too. But it doesn't make any difference. Like, we're not going to produce any more rockets, so we might as well just use them all to finish the other star. Yeah, what did actually happen to the red science here? Because I remember seeing something went wrong. And then I decided not to fix it. So we've got graphite. We're lacking hydrogen. There's a little bit of hydrogen coming in from somewhere. Where's that coming from? The world's smallest trickle full of hydrogen. Very sad. So these are all full of light oil. Okay, so I think we just filled up on light oil. Well, we can fix that. That's pretty easy to fix. Yeah, here you go. Well, I say fix. This is a very temporary fix. Look at all these oil refineries. We did this really early on, actually. I'm quite happy with how that went. Right, the red science will return. Yeah, there we go. There's a bit more hydrogen. You know what? Are these full of hydrogen? They are. Okay. I mean, we could definitely ship that hydrogen somewhere. And get these running again. Wow, I made those really short. We must have finished with this area a while ago. Let's double check these. Those are these also full? These are also full. Okay. There is definitely something we could have done where we could have diverted all of this excess hydrogen somewhere. Didn't you have orbitals pulling hydrogen from gas giant? Doesn't it bring hydrogen faster than red science can use? I'm not sure we did that here. Let's go have a look quickly. I probably shouldn't have done that because now a load of other machines are running and we're going to get more lag. Oh well. Looks like we set up. Looks like we did set some up. Looks like we set up a load. It looks like they're still using it though. Yeah, because I think we're using I think we're sending all of this hydrogen for the other science production. And then the red science we ended up just using the terrestrial hydrogen with. There's definitely something we could do. It doesn't matter at this stage. I mean, these are all full anyways. There's only one or two that are actually being used. But yeah, you can actually see as well that the harvesting rate on this planet is way less than on the ice giant further away from the Mediterranean planet. Kind of wild how that works. What I'd really like them to do, I'd love if they added a setting when you're doing a game where instead of starting on a Mediterranean planet, you can start on a different habitable planet. Like, give us different options, like an oxygen not included, just to mix it up. Like, I understand it would be easier, but it would just be nice to have a bit of variety, because you always start on this planet and you always have to get some green science going to leave the system. It'd be nice just to have a bit of extra variety as an option. But anyways, I think we're nearly done. I mean, what I could do is I could set up conveyors for that hydrogen to send it to the red science. We could do that. So all that hydrogen is over here. And I think I just want to send it to this line. Yeah. So that line is where the red science production is going. This one here. So I think the main reason I didn't do it is because of quirkiness with belts. But I'm sure we can fix that. Something like that. And then adjust this slightly. Yeah. So there's some extra hydrogen for that. And then these ones, I think the wind turbines just get in the way. But I don't think that wind turbine is even used for anything. Let's take that. Just belt this around here. In a very organized fashion. Gotta get some final spaghetti in. It just wouldn't be right otherwise. There you go. It's not missed a big moment because we're making more spaghetti though. There you go, that'll do. That'll do. So now we're gonna eventually drain this all into red science production. That's fine. Right, where is it? Where's the research? Here it is. We're down to our last few white cubes needed. In fact, look at this. We've built up a large amount of white cubes now. That's good. We're only actually using this many things. Oh, we need to feed this in way faster. There you go. There you go. Turbocharge it. Yeah. Alrighty. We're here. It's gonna happen in like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ta-da! The Steam achievements. And the little jingle. There we go. That's the second time I've done that. So the whole point of that tech was just a little thing here. Congratulations, builder of great civilizations. You've completed the Dyson Sphere Program. Brackets. You can continue the game. Oh, thank you. Right. Thank you for letting us continue. So, we completed the game without launching a solar sail. Great. We completed the game without using foundations. Great. What other achievements are here? Let's see. any more achievements we didn't get. So obviously not this one. There's some more advanced things here. Complete the game without gathering rare veins to obtain rare ores. We definitely didn't do that. I wasn't planning on doing it. Hey, Giovanni Mutanda. Hi, how can I know how many resources a factory absorb? I mean, how fastly products go into a factory? What I would really recommend, instead of just working it out by hand, is you can use this website and you can tell it what product you're trying to make at what rate. Like, say, small carrier rockets are like 60 per minute, and it will give you a list of all of the things that you need to make it and a flowchart that you can follow. So that's the macro approach. But the other thing is, if you go to the actual recipe, like it will say like, for instance, a wind turbine. It takes an assembly machine 4 seconds to make one out of 6 iron plates, gears, 1 gear, and 3 coils. And that's at 1 times the assembly rate. So the stupid thing about this game is the basic assembly machine you get works at 0.75 times the normal rate. So you'll need to multiply that by 0.75. They need to change that. This needs to be 1 times and just make it take longer for everything. Like, why this isn't 1 times production rate boggles my mind. That's such a poor UI decision. And then make this like 1.33, I guess, or 1.25. I guess it's technically 1.3. And then this is 2 times. That's what they should do, and just make everything take longer to assemble. But yeah, those are the 2 ways you can look at it. Right, so we've actually done that. So that means we can use foundations, and that means we can use solar sails. So let's use the solar sails. Let's get those set up. And we can actually start doing some more techs as well. So now we have white science. We can research the repeatable techs. How repeatable are these? +3 AU's mecha warp speed. So extra drone construction, extra mecha fuel power, extra drones. I've never even thought about this, about actually using these. Isn't that wild? I mean, I'm very tempted to just do veins utilization. Solar ray energy dissipation. So this will make the Dyson Sphere more efficient. We could start with that, because we're just trying to get more. We're actually just trying to get more antimatter. So we could start with that. Veins utilization is obviously really good, but we have enough resources. Let's just do ray transmission efficiency for now. And then what I'll do as well is just so we can really blow through a stockpile. I mean, first of all, let's set up a splitter here. So put a splitter here. And then we'll put our storage here. There you go. And then that can go through here. So we'll build up a nice little buffer. Wait, have I done this wrong? Because it should be prioritizing. Oh right, this isn't connected. Oh yeah. Okay, fair enough. Right, there you go. So I can go through here, and then let's upgrade this belt. There you go. Whee. And then let's actually take this belt and just wrap it around, and then we could research it as quickly as we want. There you go. And then we can just stick a load of sorters on here. I mean, odds are this isn't going to be. You know what? I don't think we're ever going to actually need more sorters on here. The belt upgrade was what we needed. So feeding into here. Is that actually running through all these things now? We could put more. We could actually put more machines on here. That's fine. Create the other side of storage as well. That's true. There you go. I mean, our production rate now is what's limited because of the antimatter, obviously. But just in case we ever reach a point where it isn't, we'll have a look at this. There you go. That should do. It's probably a bit optimistic. Right, yeah. So let's get that, and then we'll get more antimatter going. Let's go back to the main system now and start putting solar sails in now that we've got that achievement. Because that's worth doing. I want to see a finished Dyson Sphere today. That would be ideal. Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's totally worth doing. Right, let's go. And then once we've got some sails being launched, we'll finish off the Grand Tour. And then I'm just going to think about whether there's going to be anything else I'm actually going to want to stream of this run before we before the combat update. Because really, the only other thing we could do is scale everything else up, which is obviously fun. But to be honest, I might need a better setup by the time we come back to this game, if we're going to make things even bigger than we've done now. I mean, I know this is the smallest sphere we can actually make. But yeah, I think it may be a case where I'm better off coming back to this game later rather than continuing the run after today. I don't know. What do you think, fishies? You're all just probably thinking, "Where's my food? I know you fed me like an hour ago. You gotta feed me again." That's all the fish think about. It's food. And then occasionally I stick my hand in there. Oh wait. Oh, that explains it. Hold on. I haven't fed them. The food has just been sat in the cup. Right. Okay. We're getting a free fish feeding today. Here you go. Let me redeem a fish feed. Here we go. I forgot to do this. I totally forgot.
Can I get a fish sandwich?
They can get a fish sandwich. Right. So today's food is it is a cube of bloodworms, and I've left this in here too long, but it's all right. They'll still enjoy it. So you guys, actually, that's gonna get you really excited. Mix this up a little. I fed you guys a little bit earlier. These are mostly platies and danios, but there is a weather loach. There you go. You can have all of that. And then the frogs can have a little bit too. Yeah, I lied. These aren't actually bloodworms. They're tubifex worms. The frogs really like those compared to the bloodworms. I'm going to make sure to get all of the worms out of here because I don't want them rotting away on the top of my tank. Yeah, I bet Whiskers is regretting having a nap now. Oh yeah, there's Whiskers. Whiskers has woken up. Get some food. She's a bit confused. She doesn't quite realise where it is. Here you go. Whiskers already ate, so that's fine. Whiskers is the weather loach, and they're very cute and they're very silly, and they're the channel mascot. Right. So we've done that. Let's go back to the game. What's in the small tank behind me? Oh, okay. So in the small tank behind me, it's mostly there's 3 African. Thanks, camera. There's 3 African dwarf frogs in there. And you probably can't see them because they're very small, but they do show up occasionally. And then this one fish, he gets to stay in here as well because he has a bit of a skin problem and he doesn't like the colder water in the tank behind us. These are all cold water fish So, or not cold water, temperate fish. So I keep this tank between 18 and 24, whereas that tank is kept between sort of 26 and 30, because the frogs like it hotter. But that fish wasn't responding to the cold water very well, so we put him in the warm tank, and he seems to do much better in there. I don't know why, because they're all the same type of Variatus platy that doesn't mind temperate waters. But yeah. Anyways, back to the game. The small tank looks like it has an 8080 Walker from Star Wars in it. Lol. That's because it does. That was a gift from work. They gave it to me. So that's the mandatory decoration from work. I quite like it. Right, so what are we doing here? We're lagging out, and then we're setting up some sails. Now that we've actually done that. Let's see. Let's go find the ejectors. How many sails have I got in here? We've got about 300 sails, so not a lot. We're still making lots of rockets. What is the actual sphere state? So it looks like that's not right. That's a swarm. Looks like we're about 80% done on the frame. That's pretty good. So once we've done with the frame, we'll be able to send all of the sails over, and that'll happen quicker. How many points to fish them? It's 10,000 points to feed them, but I've already fed them today, so you won't be able to redeem that again. But if you come back another day and you get 10,000 points, you can feed them. And then there's actually a reward for 100,000 points for actually naming a fish. Because Whiskers has a name, and Neon is one of the platies in here that someone's named. But the rest of the fish is still looking for names, to be honest. But it's not cheap. So yeah, this is nearly finished, so the sails will come in pretty quickly after that point. Let's actually hook this up now. So, did I plan this out properly? No, I didn't, did I? Is this tank full of hydrogen? It is. Okay. So let's just actually send this over here. And then I guess I'll send this over the back. That wasn't very well planned out, was it? Is that good enough? Yeah, that's good enough. And then I can come down here. Right, so it looks like we can send it in from any of these sides. So that can just be a blue. There you go. And then make that a yellow. There we go. You're launching the sails. Oh, actually, I know what we need to do. Hold the phone. Oh, they're gonna go straight into the sphere, so that should be fine. I don't think the sail life matters, but we'll need to research that next. Looks like we're actually generating more power than we're consuming with this now, so we can actually set up more of these ray receivers as well. I didn't plan this very well, did I? We're fine. I'll just stick in some more of these. So we just need... Right, you know what I'm going to do, actually? Instead of doing this, I'm going to stick this here. We're going to set up the rails over here. Okay, hold on. Okay, stop this. Pick this up. Then I'll just send this belt back here. And then we'll expand out the ray receivers that way. So that can go there. That can go here. I can go there. So now these will launch again, so that's good. And then I can fill this with these. Okay, that's fine. And now we just need to actually generate more rays. So let's see. What's going on with this? Looks like I've got a splitter underneath each of these. That's fine. We'll get the graviton lenses in. Yeah, that's fine. And then, yeah, so this is requesting from the Dyson spheres as well. It's going to take a while to get up to max speed, but that's fine. And then I think I just connect it onto here somehow. So let's see. Planning was not my strong suit. The antimatter is coming out that side. Can I change that? I think I can change that. Let's see. Let's actually put the antimatter here. Then we can send that along the top. And then that can come over here. And then that can lower down. Okay. That's fine. Then that can just come out of here. No, you foolish fool. Okay. How about this? So I'm just gonna put a green here. And a green here. Wait, no. That built it antimatter. Yeah, there you go. And then the hydrogen is just going into the storage. I'll build this up, because I don't think we need to worry about that. So then, what else do we need? So now these just need to be hooked up here. I built a Dyson Sphere cell. Wow, okay, hold on, let's have a look at this. How quickly is that happening? Where's the cell? Show me. I think it's happening very, very gradually. Yeah, because here's where the sails are being ejected to. They're all going in here. Which one are they starting to build up? Can't see. I guess it will become more obvious. This is literally the first one after all. Yeah, we'll just wait for that. Okay, so now the critical photons are coming in for that as well. So we should be generating 24 of each. Okay, we're actually filling this up faster than it can make it now. Why is that? Because it's too backed up on hydrogen. Right, okay. Let's upgrade this. Okay, there we go. There we go. That's giving us something. It's giving us a bit more antimatter now. I probably should have done that a while ago. I think that's the reason it was turning it on and off. Oh, we're generating more photons now, so that's good. Looks like we're out of sails again. And then in terms of power consumption, we've hit that threshold again. So that's okay. What next? I think that's all right now. This is actually continuously running. It doesn't seem like we need more of these yet. We may need more of them eventually. We'll keep an eye on that. Yeah, all of the sails are being absorbed, so I don't think the sail life is going to come into it. And then this is nearly done. Can I see it? No. Oh, hold on. Is that it? No. Still some nodes that are getting finished. Right, I think I'll leave this for a little bit. Antimatter production is going up. That's good. Right, let's continue the grand tour for now. So, where are we going next? Let's see. Going to a prairie planet. So let's go have a look at that. Because I'll get this tour finished just so we can do that. Let's see. It's here. I can't remember exactly where it was. There's a water world there. That's good to know. We could actually go start doing something with the water world now if we wanted. That's fun. Oh, there was that one red star, wasn't there? Wasn't this one? This one? No. What planet were we looking for? Ah, it was this one. Right. There's a prairie there. Right. We'll go a quick look at the Dyson Sphere. Now that we're actually launching the sails at it. So let's see what it looks like from the planet. Because I've not done that before. Obviously, we're not launching too many sails. That's all the rockets, and then the sails shoot out that end. Let's go have a look. I do love how we're just flinging just random things at it. Yeah, here's where all of the solar sails are ending up in orbit. Now that we're actually starting to fill in some of the cells. You can see some of them have collected here. Then if I decrease my speed slightly. So this is what the solar sails look like. Here we go. So at the moment they're just orbiting around, and then eventually they end up falling into the sphere, into these nodes, and then they start building it up. Let's see if we can spot it. See if we can spot it building up. I don't think it's going to build up very quickly. Yeah, okay, so you can see some of it here. But it's not very quick. But yeah, there's some cells. And then when we actually get close, they'll actually move away, so we can go through them. Although the effect is pretty minimal at the moment, because there's so many holes in everything anyways. It's really bright on the screen. Let me know. Maybe this will be like the thumbnail shot. I've got to have a big shot of the Dyson Sphere. It's not quite finished yet though, and it's going to take a while. Yeah, let's go. Let's go to Resha. You can on mech warpers. Yeah, I am. We're fine. We've got hundreds of them on our person. I don't know why, but we do. Other things we have a single lump of antimatter. We have some hydrogen. We have some critical photons for some reason. I've been keeping my mech very organized, as you can tell. You can actually just straight up put antimatter in your thing, although it seems like a waste. Yeah, that should step up the antimatter production quite a bit. Sales take a while to absorb anyways. It's one of the things I usually leave the game running overnight for, eh? Yeah, that might be it. One of my platies is looking very pregnant. It's very fat. And it's got a dark spot on its belly, which is usually the fish inside blocking the light. But it's funny, I see all the babies swimming around everywhere at the bottom by the driftwood, but I never actually see them give birth. I guess they don't tend to give birth out in the open, because then the other fishes tend to eat the live babies pretty quickly. Looks like we're researching again. It seems like our production is now constrained by the number of actual colliders we have. That's a good sign. Right, so behold, this is a red dwarf that unusually has a habitable planet around it. Quite rare. But here we are. So this is a prairie planet, and they're very pretty. They're very green. They look a lot. Oh, I've landed here too. What an environmental devastator I am. But yeah, these look a lot like the Mediterranean planet, except they have less water on them. You don't need too much water, but there's more constructible area than on a Mediterranean planet, so that's nice. Let's just land here. So obviously we have an organic crystal vein, so that's very nice. You're guaranteed to find crude oil here. You're guaranteed to find organic crystals here. You can also find fractal silicon and spiniform stalagmite crystals here, like the Pandora Swamp. The construction area is about 85%. The water is distributed very similar to how the lava is distributed on the lava planets. But yeah, wind energy ratio is 110%. It's a bit higher than on a Mediterranean planet. Yet another reason why this planet is better, usually. Solar energy can vary. I wouldn't bother with solar, I'd just use wind, to be honest. And then the resource types, you'll find a lot of coal here, you'll find a lot of iron and silicon. You'll find slightly less copper and stone, and you'll find a relatively small amount of titanium. But again, everything is here. So it's not a bad system to just set up in once you're bored of your home system. And then you can go grab a few more resources from elsewhere. So here's the one titanium vein, but it's not too bad. So yeah, pretty nice planet. Just go somewhere else to get more titanium. You wish there were a few more liquid resources and reasons to use them. Yeah, I mean, we'll get to one more in a minute, but I wish there were more uses for plastic. I feel like it should be used more in buildings other than the assembly machine Mark III for the broadband. I feel like it should just be a raw construction ingredient for a few more things. But I don't know. So next up we got the redstone planet. So that was... Oh, what system was that again? Is it this one? No, it was... began with a K, I'm pretty sure. No, it was Hercules. Okay. Good. Right, where's that? That is over here. Airstone started floating. No, I think it's alright. I just noticed a lot of fish breathing at the top of the tank. That's not usually a good sign, but I think they're okay. Sometimes they just like to do it. It's only concerning if like all of them are doing it at once. Right, Hercules 1. Here we go. So, there we go. So now we have the redstone planet. So this isn't the Minecraft planet. It's just a habitable world, but it's red instead of green. But if we have a closer look, you'll see the water pattern again is very similar to the oceanic jungle planet. And it's covered in mushrooms. These mushrooms are kind of weird. You'll find sulfuric acid in them. Not a lot, but it's notable. And then you'll find crude oil here as well. That's guaranteed. You're guaranteed to find organic crystals here as well. Kimberlite ore can occasionally be found here, as well as a spitiform stalagmite crystals. In terms of the resources you find here, there's a lot of coal and a lot of stone compared to the other organic planets. You'll find a lot of stone in particular. And you'll also find some iron and some copper, but you don't find any silicon or titanium here. So it's similar to the Mediterranean planet in that aspect. So I feel like this would be a nice planet to have as a starting option, because you still have to go abroad for silicon and titanium, like the Mediterranean planet. But you start with like a little bit of organic crystals, just to make the start a little bit easier. And it's just different. It's just nice for the visual variety. The wind energy ratio is 100% again, so it's very, very similar to the Mediterranean planet. Looks like we've got ray efficiency. That's good. I think we'll just start going for veins utilization. Sounds like fun. There is an achievement getting veins utilization level 31. But anyways, so the wind energy ratio is 100%, so very similar to the Mediterranean planet in that respect. Solar energy ratio can vary, but again, I wouldn't bother, because you'll need a lot of foundations to make a decent solar belt, and it probably won't be tidally locked. Yeah, interesting planet. Probably one of the worst organic planet options, just because you don't have any silicon or titanium. But if you need a lot of stone, it's not bad. And it's certainly better than nothing. So then the next one would be the Rocky Salt Lake. So where is that? We got one here? No. I think there was one over here. Yeah, here we go. Let's have a look at that. We'll go have a look at the red giant while we're here as well, just because I think it's cool. We never did anything with it. But yeah, I spotted some wind turbines on the redstone planet, so we definitely set up there at some point, just to have a look. Right, Kuma 1. So the next planet we have is the Rocky Salt Lake planet. So this is a barren world with a lot of salt on it. As you can see, it's got a reddish hue. Not super interesting, but there's no ocean, so it's a 100% constructible area. In terms of the resource distributions, you will find a lot of silicon here and a lot of copper. And you'll find smaller quantities of titanium, stone, iron ore, and coal. Again, the lonely coal vein is here. It's mostly silicon and copper. And then the wind energy ratio is 110%, so that's pretty good. And then the solar energy ratio can vary as well, but you can find this both close to and far away from the star, so that can vary quite a lot. But the wind energy ratio is pretty good, so I just use wind turbines, to be honest. You can find kimberlite ore and an optical grating crystal here occasionally, but we haven't found it in this case. It's not guaranteed. But yeah, overall pretty uninteresting planet, to be honest. But a good source of silicon, good source of copper. So worth bearing that in mind. Yeah, not really much to talk about. Do I do Factorio? I don't. I'll probably play it at some point, but this is the game I actually got before Factorio. I probably will pick up Factorio and play it at some point, though. Because I am curious. I don't think there's a huge amount of DLCs or anything with Factorio, is there? It's just the base game. I probably will look at it at some point, but I'm not in a rush. It does look very fun, though. Right, next up, we have the Sakura Ocean. Where was that? That was one of these. I don't think it was this one. Here we go. But before we do that, I'm going to go look at the red giant, because that's pretty cool. Where's the red giant? Is that nearby? Have I gone completely the wrong way for that? Ah, here it is. Yeah, let's go have a look at the red giant. You started with DSP before Factorio, so I like DSP more. Yeah, like Factorio looks really good, but the 3D-ness of Dyson Sphere Program and just exploring different planets really, really strongly appealed to me, I would say. But the actual factory building of Factorio looks fun too. So I probably will have a look at some point. Well, here we are. Here's the red giant. I just felt like coming here. It's huge. Oh my god. Look how huge it is when we're warping around. It's funny. So yeah, believe it or not, here's a lava planet by the red giant. And then if you look at it in the sky, it's just... Look at that. Like, can you imagine living on a planet like this where the star is just so big in the sky? Like, it's just intimidating, isn't it? I mean, obviously, you don't want to live... You don't want your civilization to be set up around a red giant, because it's going to explode pretty soon anyways, but, yeah, pretty crazy. And then when it comes to the actual Dyson Sphere itself, you have to make a huge Dyson Sphere. The orbit radius is just massive compared to the other options. Like, here's the smallest one you can have, where it's literally right next to the star. And also, because this one's a red giant, it's not actually that luminous either, so the generation capacity is really low. The star itself is just really big. It's just kind of funny to me. There's a blue giant as well. We'll go look at the blue giant later. Let's go. And then as we walk past it, it'll look really weird. Yeah, there we go. So I like this next planet as well. On my non-screened run, this is where I set up my my main new base. But to be honest, I think that's just because it was a really far habitable planet, more than because I really liked it being the Sakura Ocean. Let's go have a look. Wait, where is it? Oh, it's right here. Okay. Alrighty. So this is the Sakura Ocean planet. So it's sort of like a pinkish color with some water oceans. There is less water on this than on the Redstone planet and the Oceanic Jungle. You have about 65% construction area, so it's a little bit higher. But yeah, the planet's all pink. Pink and purple. Very pretty. And in terms of the resources, so you'll have a lot of coal here and a lot of silicon. You'll have smaller amounts of stone, iron, and copper, and you won't find any titanium here. So you need to bring titanium from somewhere else. But you will also find the crude oil, and you'll also find the guaranteed organic crystals. You can occasionally find spiniform stalagmite crystals as well for nanotubes. And yeah, and the wind energy ratio is 100%. So it's a pretty good organic planet. Probably not the best, but you get a little bit more construction area than you would in the others. But it's just very pretty, and you get the nice music here. So I quite like this planet. Yeah, is there anything else to say about this? I don't think so. I mean, I think the plants as well. You can get sulfuric acid out of the sap from the plants, but obviously you can't mine that. Now, that's something I wish they added to this game. I wish they added a forestry building that planted trees over time, and then you could set up like some kind of tree mining machine. And because then if you could actually like harvest trees, that gives you a different production method for like sulfuric acid and stuff. And it'd be nice to just not actually level the planet's biosphere entirely just to set up your factory. It'd be nice to be able to preserve like a little pocket of it for your own use. And then you could set up your tree mining machine, and depending on what the production rate is, it would either outpace the tree growth or it would be less and you get more trees. I'd like to see something like that. Yeah, very pretty planet. So we've only got a couple more left, actually. So the next one is the Scarlet Ice Lake. Is that in this system? No. Okay. Let's head towards the Blue Giant if we can, because I want to go see the Blue Giant. Oh, it's over here. That's kind of weird. Let's see. Not that one. Not this one. Is there one around this planet? No, it's a lava. Yeah, believe it or not, around the Blue Giant is a lava planet. Let's just go to the Blue Giant. I want to go to the Blue Giant. I haven't been there yet. And we'll probably end the stream just going to the neutron star and the black hole. And here we go. I just like exploring space. I think I'd really enjoy playing No Man's Sky. Apparently the game has improved a lot since it came out. But that's more focused on the exploration than other stuff. Yeah, let's get nice and close to this Blue Giant. Wait, there's 2 planets? Wait, is there a gas giant around this Blue Giant? That's kind of nuts. It's crazy. Lava planet number 2. So, where's the giant first of all? Okay, so there's the Blue Giant. It's not huge. I guess we're just quite far away. It's very luminous though. The star is 2.23 luminosity. Hey Charmich, how you doing? We have more or less wrapped up our Dyson Sphere run. So we researched mission complete. We're making the antimatter and the Dyson Sphere is finished. So I'm just doing a little tour of the galaxy at the moment, but we'll come back to the home system as well. Hope you're doing well. I was just here admiring this Blue Giant for a little bit, although it's not that giant. I guess we're just really far away from it. And then we've actually got a gas giant here as well, which is kind of nuts. But yeah, we're on the quest for a Scarlet Ice Lake planet. I'm just showing off one of every type of planet at the moment. I might make a video about this, I might not. Playing KSP right now, started a new career save, nice. Whatever happened with Kerbal Space Program 2? Is that still a thing? Are they still developing that? Bad? Yeah, I heard it wasn't great. This is annoying me. We saw a load of these earlier. At least I think we did. No, we've already looked at this one. So one over here. Oh, this is actually the next planet we want to look at. My bad. Yeah, let's go do this one. Doesn't even have re-entry heating and effects yet. Really? I thought that game was in development for ages. That's rough. Yeah, let's go have a look at the Savannah planet instead, and then I'll find then I'll find a Scarlet Ice Lake planet later. Oh, it's still in early access. Oh, I see. Okay. Much like this game. I heard that there were really bad FPS issues when it came out. Like, £50 for an unfinished game is horrible. Yeah, I can believe that. But yeah, I think this will be the last Dyson Sphere Program stream for a while, because we're pretty much finished. I think we've done everything in the game, and now we're at the stage where we can just do more of it. But I'm going to leave that until the new update comes out. So tomorrow we'll do something different, but I'm not sure what. Right, here we go. So this is a Savannah planet. So this is another organic planet. This one's green as well, but it's got sort of deserty patches. And it's got these rivers of water. So there is water here, but there's much less water than on other planets. So it's not particularly obstructive. See, we're hovering above this. Yeah. So it's an organic planet, so you have crude oil on it. That's good. You are guaranteed to find organic crystals. Okay, the wiki says something pretty unhelpful. Organic crystals guaranteed, but we found planets without organic crystals in the most recent version. Okay, so maybe they're not guaranteed. We found some here, and we found some spiniform stalagmite crystals as well, and the wiki says that this planet shouldn't have them. So you can find organic crystals, you can find spiniform stalagmite crystals here. And then in terms of resources, lots of silicon, lots of coal, like the other planets. A little bit less stone, iron, and copper, and then a very small amount of titanium. I say very small. There's quite a big vein here. Where's the titanium vein? There's a little bit of everything here. Yeah, there's only one vein, but it's quite big in this case. So yeah, not a bad planet. About 90% of the area is constructible without foundations, so that's nice. And then the wind energy ratio is 110%, so good candidate for wind turbine power, especially because they're not going to be obstructed by loads of oceans. But there is still a little bit of water, so you can still pump that for all of your production needs. This is one of my favorite planets to settle on as well. I just haven't happened to find any in my runs that are nearby or have other good qualities. But yeah, they're not bad. I think I did consider coming out here. So I think there's actually just 3 planets left. I'm just going to talk about the main terrestrial planets. So let's see. Can we find one over here? Yes, we can. That's good. Let's go. Wow, what star are we around here? I think that's just a red dwarf. Yeah, that's a red dwarf. Okay. Let's get out of here. Yeah, I just love exploring the galaxy. I must get a better computer so that we can actually set up a factory across the whole galaxy. That would be so cool. Just have little ships crisscrossing around everywhere. We want number 2, which is here. Right, so this is the Scarlet Ice Lake planet. Very cool. Red color, lakes of ice. It is one of the colder planets, believe it. And it's quite interesting because you have the ice. You can walk around on the ice. It says construction area 70%, but you can build on this, like without foundations. Like I can just put stuff here. It's not a problem. So you can build stuff on the ice. So really, it's 100% buildable. And yeah, you don't find any water here, so you won't be able to get any of that because it's all cold. The wind energy ratio is pretty low at 70%. Because it's a cold planet, the solar energy is also pretty low. So renewable energy is a slight problem over here. You are guaranteed to find fire ice, so using that for chemical energy is a pretty good shout. And then the resources you find here, mostly copper, mostly titanium, find a little bit less iron, and then small quantities of stone and silicon, and a very small coal vein. So pretty lopsided resources, but a pretty good source of copper and titanium. Probably not super high on my list of candidates to go look at, but guaranteed fire ice is nice, and lots of titanium and copper is potentially interesting. But not too much to talk about, really. What's the main limiting factor in your laptop preventing you from expanding more? Overheating. Like, it's just getting too hot and it's thermal throttling. So the FPS does alright, but then when we're actually near our factory, we get spikes of FPS lag because the computer's getting too hot. So I need to either run OBS on a different computer, which I don't have, or find some better cooling system, but it's a laptop, so I'm not sure how well that's going to go. Yeah, I do like how this planet looks. It's just a shame it's not super useful. But then there's 2 more planets to look at, and they're both very interesting. So let's see where we can find one of these. I'm not sure where we're actually going to find this. Maybe here? Yeah, okay, that'll do. Let's go. You get that with Oni. Once got to 95C. Yeah, I think my computer gets to about 80, 87C, and then it starts thermal throttling. And I don't really want to get it to get hotter, because running your computer hot is how you end up with long-term damage, and then you have to replace your machine. You don't want your computer running hot. Yeah. I do periodically get rid of dust. I think I might need to be a bit more thorough with that. You must have had another game open when playing KSP. Nice. Alrighty. So, here we are. So this is a very interesting planet. This is the volcanic ash planet. And it's interesting. Well, first of all, it's interesting because we're getting pulled between the gas giant and the planet. But you have oceans here, but they're not water oceans. They're sulfuric acid oceans. They're pretty small, but they're just little pools of sulfuric acid. So this is super important. This is like one of the most important planets to find for your run. Because making sulfuric acid sucks. The recipe for sulfuric acid is stone, refined oil, and water. And trust me, you don't want to use oil unless you absolutely have to, because you have to set up all the oil refineries, you have all the complex recipes and byproducts to manage. It is a pain in the ass, and it requires a lot of the resources to make in the chemical facilities. You can just find it in oceans here. So, I mean, obviously your first lots of sulfuric acid on your Mediterranean planet, you're going to have to make from scratch. But I would argue, as soon as you get space warpers, set up a logistics network to a sulfuric acid planet if it's nearby, or move your base to a system that has a sulfuric acid planet nearby. And it just saves you so much hassle, because then you don't need oil to make sulfuric acid. Like I was talking about that earlier, but like oil doesn't have a huge amount of uses late game, because primarily you're going to be wanting to get your sulfuric acid from lakes like this. So very important. Construction area is very high. These lakes take up hardly any surface area, so that's good as well. The wind energy ratio is 80%, so that's not great. You often find these planets closer to stars, so the solar energy ratio is usually good. So making a solar belt is pretty viable in this planet. And then in terms of the other resources you find, you'll find silicon, you'll find a little bit of silicon, you'll find mostly iron, copper, and titanium. Find a little bit of silicon and stone, and a very small, lonely coal vein. Let's find the coal vein again. Yeah, here it is. Very small one. So good for raw resources and titanium. So you're going to want to come here, because there's a lot of iron and copper here anyways, and you use that for everything. So probably the most important planet to hook up once you get interstellar travel going. Very good. You won't find any rare resources here. Sulfuric acid is the rare resource. But there is one more world I have to show off as well before we go back to the main system. And it was in a very specific place. Gotta find that again because I didn't highlight it. I should have highlighted it. Here it is. Let's go here. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a video discussing all of these, but it's going to be a tier list video, and it's going to be prioritizing which planets to try and hook up when you can in this game. And I'm just going to cut to sections where I'm showing off the planets in that video. So I'll talk about it separately on the YouTube video, but I just wanted to show you guys. So I might make that next Thursday, because my schedule is changing next week, because my new work arrangement starts. So Monday, Tuesday streams will be normal. Friday I'll do a longer stream from 4 till 10-ish. On Wednesday and Thursday I'll have off, but Thursday I'm going to dedicate to video editing. You can expect regular YouTube content that's not just VODs for Fridays, because that's when I'll upload it. So yeah, that'll be next week's video. Right, which planet was it again? I think it was the one orbiting the gas giant. Right, here we go. Yeah, there we go. It looks suspiciously blue. Yeah, so here's the final planet type you can find. It's a water world. It's just covered in water. There's not really much more else to say. It's pretty interesting. Let's find an island we can land on. There's like an island down here, maybe? Very, very little buildable area. Ah, here's one. Okay. We found it. We found the land. Perfect. Yeah. So, water worlds are very interesting. So, you have to come here with foundations. You can't do anything here unless you brought a load of foundations. So the first thing you want to do is set up an interstellar logistics station to import foundations, and you'll need about 300,000 of them to cover the whole planet. But I wouldn't recommend covering the whole planet. I'd recommend just covering the resource veins so they appear above the water, mining them, probably just with an advanced mining machine, realistically. Don't bother setting up all the little ones, because that will require more foundations. And then just export all of the raw resources somewhere else to build everything. But yeah, you won't find any basic resources here except for coal. You'll find a little bit of coal. Here's some coal. But the rare resources you will find here are crude oil in large amounts in these seeps. Where are they? Where are the seeps? Yeah, here's a seep. So crude oil is here, and then you'll also find the spiniform stalagmite crystals guaranteed here, and you'll find tons of them. This is the main resource you'll find here, and spiniform stalagmite crystals are super useful for making nanotubes, because normally to make nanotubes you need graphene and titanium ingots. Titanium is not hard to find, but the graphene can potentially be annoying unless you've got like a fire ice giant. You're not guaranteed to find those. So being able to just make nanotubes from the spiniform stalagmite crystals is really good, because these nanotubes, you use them for making level 3 proliferator, use it for making purple science with broadband, and for the Dyson Sphere components. So pretty good to set up, but obviously not in a foundationless run, and definitely more of a late game thing than a mid game thing, I would say. But this could really streamline your nanotube production, unless your purple science production. And the wind energy ratio is 110% here, but I wouldn't recommend, well, I mean, man, I don't know. I mean, obviously, if you've got enough foundations, setting up wind power is pretty viable. But, to be honest, if you don't have the foundations, it might just make more sense to just send some nuclear fuel rods over and run some nuclear plants here. Or maybe burn some oil, but again, that would require a lot of foundations. Just come here with foundations. All right. So that's all the planets that you can actually land on and build stuff with. And there's obviously a couple more. There's 2 more planets. So we're right. I'll just talk about them both here. But yeah, they're the gas giants. So there's two different types of gas giant. Now, where is it? Here it is. So this is an ice giant, I believe. Yeah, that's an ice giant. So the ice giants are blue, and they're a little bit rarer than usual. And they're pretty interesting in that you can set up orbital collectors here, and they'll produce fire ice mostly, and then a little bit of hydrogen. So hydrogen is obviously really useful for the red science and stuff, but also for making Casimir crystals, and a lot of other things. And then the fire ice you can turn into more hydrogen and more graphene. So it's really powerful with an ice giant to set up a load of orbital collectors, grab a load of fire ice, turn it into a load of hydrogen and graphene, and then you don't have to worry about graphene ever again if you have one of these, because you'll just produce so much of it you won't know what to do with it. And that's used for nanotubes, it's used for Casimir crystals, and it's used for quite a few buildings as well. Like it's used for the level 3 belts, so that's very important. Otherwise, quite annoying. It's used for the it's not used for supermagnetic ring. But yeah, pretty useful to get this hooked up. And then the regular gas giant, which looks very similar. I'm not going to bother going out and showing it off. I don't know where I'll find it though. Probably not here. I bet I'm going to struggle to find one now. Here's a gas giant. So the regular gas giants are more of an orangey sort of color, and you'll find more regular hydrogen here. But instead of fire ice, you'll find a very small amount of deuterium, but it's not really that relevant. Like, you'll find enough to make like maybe a few fuel rods out of it, but you're mostly eventually going to be converting all of your hydrogen into deuterium for that, either with colliders and a load of power, or with fractionators and less power but a lot of space required to set up a load of fractionators. So these are more common in general, I think, and they're less useful. But if you want hydrogen, they produce more of it in general. So yeah, that's all the planet types. So let's actually go back to the Dyson Sphere and see how it looks now. And I think then, let's see. So there's the neutron star over there. We'll go have a look at we'll go say hi to the neutron star as well. And then the, let's see. The black hole. Actually, let's go to the black hole first. There we go. Because we never ended up setting up anything here. And I'll explain why in a minute. But they're pretty interesting. Be there in like 15 seconds. It's sneaking up on us, you can't see it. So, there is also an achievement for flying next to a black hole. So, bear that in mind. Yeah, here's the planet. You can see the accretion disk now. Oh, there we go, we've gone past it. So this is, I'm just going to boost up a little bit to get to it. This is a regular ice field planet. Except, it's on a black hole. Look at that. There's a black hole, looking very creepy. And there's special music on this planet as well. It's very cool. So one thing to bear in mind. So, the black hole itself doesn't produce a lot of luminosity, believe it or not. 0.167. So don't bother building a Dyson Sphere around a black hole, even though it looks really cool. There's a few things. So first of all, compared to normal, the planet will rotate really quickly because of the mass involved. So the day-night cycle here will be very, very rapid, and that can get annoying. That can get annoying if you're building stuff, because the shadows are constantly shifting. It's constantly changing between day and night because it's rotating so fast. But the other thing is, there's a very unique resource here it's unipolar magnets. You can only find those near black holes and the neutron star, which we'll go have a look at in a minute. Let's see. Is this the right direction? Yeah, here we go. So these are unipolar magnets, and these are very interesting because you can use them to make particle containers. So normally you need turbines and graphene, and making turbines can be a bit annoying with a big production chain. It's just a lot of complexity. And you need particle containers for a lot of important things, like annihilation constraint spheres for the fuel rods, antimatter fuel rods, logistics stations, energy exchanges, that sort of thing. And then eventually making strange matter as well. That requires particle containers. So particle containers are very important for green science, for late game stuff. And with unipolar magnets, you can skip the turbines and just make them with the magnets. But the only caveat is you need a lot of magnets, and you only find one vein of them on the black hole planet. And then this can get used up very quickly if you're using it in a science production line. So I wouldn't actually do that at first. I would save this until a while after you've set up your Dyson Sphere. Because what you'll want to do is you'll want to research veins utilization a lot so that your resource consumption from the vein is really low. And once it's really low, then you can start making your particle containers with the unipolar magnets instead of the turbines. And that will let you make a lot more particle containers, and it won't deplete the resource too quickly. So that lets you get a big burst of extra science. So that's worth considering. The other thing you need them for is you need them to make the plane smelters. But yeah, these are twice as good as regular smelters, but they need 15 magnets. So what you could do is you could mine like 1,000 or so unipolar magnet veins. Just 1,000 of the resource, make a load of plane smelters, and then just leave it alone. So that can be pretty good if you want to make a more compact smelting setup. But I haven't had that problem yet, to be honest. But yeah, let's go look at the black hole. The black hole's very cool. Unfortunately, we timed this poorly with the music. Yeah, you can get really close to the black hole and it doesn't cause any issues. Star is very massive as well, so you actually accelerate towards it quite quickly as you get there. There's an achievement in the game for getting to 3,000 meters per second. And normally you can't do that, because the maximum you can actually get up to with your engine is 2,000. And if you try and accelerate after that, it will slow you down again, like that. But what you can do is you can actually use a space warper, come as close to the black hole as possible. And then right as you're about to pass the black hole, you turn on the space warper again. And then you basically do a loop with the space warper. And you just keep using the black hole to accelerate you further and further. And that's how you get the achievement for getting past 3,000 meters per second sail speed. Yeah, you can get really close. And it looks very trippy. They haven't added damage to the game yet. I imagine this would probably kill you when they add damage to the game. Like your mech has a HP stat, but it doesn't do anything. I think that will change in future. Yeah, look at that. That's trippy, isn't it? Right, so that's the black hole. So planet's pretty interesting because of unipolar magnets. And then the what else is there? This is a neutron star. So let's go have a look at the neutron star next. Oh, we need to put more warpers in. Yeah. Thankfully, we brought a load of warpers with us. Can you imagine if we forgot to do that, we just ended up trapped around a black hole? Right, let's go. Get out of here. Goodbye, black hole. So we built quite a way to go to the neutron star, but that's right. The neutron star is right next to our home system. So similar to the black hole, you'll find unipolar magnets there. The deposit size will vary, but again, the deposit will be larger the further it is from your Mediterranean planet. So when you're actually generating a seed to play the game on, a cluster seed where you see what the stars look like, you want your neutron star or your black hole to be as far away from your starting planet as possible, because then it will have the most overall resources on it in the veins, and that means it'll have the most unipolar magnets on it, because the vein is very small. If your black hole starts right next to your starting system, it will be very small indeed. We basically picked this cluster partly because the neutron star was so far out, so the vein is a lot bigger, and that means you can use it to make particle containers a lot easier. But we didn't end up doing that. That's probably the next thing on the list. I mean, once we get the antimatter production up and we research a load of veins utilization, if we were going to continue to save, we would start making a load of extra science capacity. So we'd make a load of extra of all 5 of the other science colors, and harvesting the neutron star would be a big part of that. Hold on. Need to turn the indicator off of this. Yeah, here we go. I don't think we're going to run out of energy. Yeah, we'll go back to the home system and have a last look at the Dyson Sphere before we wrap it up. Yeah, they recently updated what the neutron stars look like as well, so that'd be quite nice to show off. Yeah, again, there'll only be one planet orbiting the neutron star, and it will usually be it will be a cold planet. So here we go. In this case, it looks like another ice field jellicol. Yeah, there we go. So we land here, and you can see the shadows are immediately changing. And then if we look up at the sky, you'll see the neutron star. There we go. Doesn't that look pretty? With the like the pulsar jets and everything. And again, you'll notice the planet is rotating really sodding quickly. So if you build anything here, you're going to have an annoying day-night cycle. Like, it literally rotates once every 2 minutes. There's no unique song here, which is a shame, but it does look very cool. And then, again, here, you'll have the unipolar magnets. So they're very important, as I discussed with the black hole. So let's go have a quick look at the neutron star. So again, this star is, let's have a look at it. This star looks pretty trippy up close. So, I'm going to star that. So this star is not very massive. It's not very luminous, but it's very small and it's very hot. So the black hole is definitely what you use to accelerate for that achievement. But there's an achievement, I think there's an achievement for going past this one as well. Where is that? No, it's here somewhere. Right. Here's the neutron star. Look at that, isn't that cool? So again, I imagine getting too close would probably kill you. Base game. Actually, look how much we've accelerated. That's crazy. Oh, there we go. We can get very close to it. It's pretty wild. Imagine the acceleration we're getting from doing that. Yeah, every time we get closer, it takes a little bit more of the extra energy. feel like we could accidentally get stuck in it because it's so small. You could like if I slow down properly. Hold on. Right, let's slow down. So you can see how fast the star is actually rotating. And then if we actually get really close to it, it won't let us get too close. It's not that big. Like you can see relative to the mech, it's not that big. It's way smaller than a normal planet. For some reason. I mean, obviously the devs themselves have said they're less concerned with realistic scale and more with things looking cool and being manageable from a gameplay point of view. Yeah, look at all these jets coming off it. It's wild. They should add something to let you harvest these jets somehow. Right. Okay. Well, that's a neutron star. Let us go back to the main system, and we can go see how the Dyson Sphere is doing. And then I think we're pretty much done. Bye, neutron star. And I think that's pretty much everything in the game. I don't think I've shown off the white dwarfs. The white dwarfs aren't that interesting. Although, one thing about the white dwarfs is planets orbiting white dwarfs are guaranteed to have fractal silicon, kimberlite ore, and optical grating crystal veins, even if they wouldn't usually have them. Wait, where am I? Oh, there we go. Right, so we're back here. Oh, yeah, there we go. So, how's antimatter production going? Looks like we're limited on critical photons. Why is that? We've got 72 critical photons per minute now. That's fine. What is the actual limiting factor here then? It does look like it's just the production. Yeah, because I think we need 120. We need 120 per minute? Doesn't seem right. Am I reading this wrong? So we should be producing 72 critical photons per minute. And this machine should be consuming 60 per minute. Oh, I guess it's working faster than normal because of the proliferator. Okay, well, I'm not complaining. It looks like it's producing antimatter faster than it was before. Looks like... Have we filled this up with fuel rods? No, I'm going to grab more fuel rods off this belt. There you go. Give me the fuel rods. Oh, wait, that's going to start making it make more over here. Oh, whatever. Whatever. We need more fuel rods. After all that warping, we barely used any fuel rods. That was pretty impressive. Right, where are they? Here you go. Very nice. So yeah, we're firing off a few solar sails. Looks like the excess solar sails, we're consuming them all, so that's good. Don't need any more ejectors yet. How is the sphere looking? So it looks like the actual shell is finished. Yeah, the shell itself is finished, so that's cool. We've got all of the beams in place. So now we shouldn't be making any more actual Dyson Sphere components or rockets, should we? Let's go check that. Yeah, these aren't launching any more rockets. That's fine. So that should be backing up. Let's see, these are still making more rockets. Why is that? Oh, I think the machines are just filling up. Okay, so the machines are almost full up. So that's good. So that means... I mean, we've stopped filling this ages ago. These should stop making Dyson Sphere components soon. Because they're filling up as well. I think it just finished Yeah, I think it just finished making those. So we should start ending up with more solar sails. Yeah, and they're all being used. Okay, that's fine. Right, let's actually go have a look at the Dyson Sphere then. Yeah, look at that. Isn't it beautiful? It's very small, but it's very pretty. And look, even prettier once it's actually full of cells. Let's see. Turn this off. Yeah, let's get a nice thumbnail shot of us by the sphere, I think. And that'll do. It's actually quite nice with just the frame, but obviously it'll generate way more power once the cells are in. Yeah. Yeah, I do like that we can just fly in the middle. And yeah, you can see the cells are starting to build up, but it's going to take ages. Like, we didn't set up a massive solar sails production line. Actually, you know what? That's what we'll do tomorrow. We'll do one more stream with Dyson Sphere Program. We'll set up a massive solar sails production line, and we'll get the sphere actually finished. That's what we should do. Because solar sails are relatively quick to make, so we can make a pretty big production line. Make a load of rail ejectors. And then we'll just do like a time-lapse of filling it up, maybe? Yeah, look, we can go inside. Well, I mean, we just clipped into it then. Not quite the desired effect. Yeah. It's so bright. Good grief. Where's the planet? Can I get the planet in the shot as well? But yeah, here you can see where all the solar sails are landing, and then they're sort of being sucked into the nodes. That's Sidera 1, so that's not what we're looking for. Sidera 2 is over there. Yeah, here it is. Yeah, so you can see all the solar sails being launched. Actually, where are they congregating? They seem to be congregating up here. And then they're falling into the various nodes. Quite difficult actually getting a shot with mech facing the right way. Pretty much just have to be flying away from it. Like, completely. Yeah, that's where all the sails are congregating. Yeah. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, it'd be either this or the mission complete. The thumbnail. I don't know. Right. On that note, I'm going to save the game there. We did our little tour of the galaxy. We will be back with one last Dyson Sphere Program stream tomorrow. And we're going to make a load of solar sails and a load of ejectors. And we're gonna fill in the cells, and then we'll have a complete Dyson sphere, and then we can say that we've thoroughly thoroughly explored this early access game. So yeah, on that note, let me close it out. Here I am. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate that I haven't actually done a huge amount of factory building today, but it has just been nice to just sort of see the success of the project, go explore the galaxy, go overlook at everything. I've had fun. It's been nice and relaxing, and yeah, I'll be back tomorrow, same time, and we'll get the sphere finished. If we don't get it finished in tomorrow's stream, I will do like a time lapse, and we'll get a shot of the finished Dyson Sphere to show people. Yeah. Thanks for watching. I'm gonna keep the wrap up fairly short tonight, but I will see you tomorrow, hopefully, for the finale. All right. Thanks for hanging out. If you're not already following, feel free to follow on Twitch, and you'll get a notification when I go live. Peace. I'm gonna get out of here. Enjoy the rest of your Thursday. Bye for now.